will now come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, honorable city council members, mayor, city treasurer, city attorney, chief of staff, deputy clerk, administrative staff, audience in attendance, and those who viewing tonight's meeting via our broadcast channel and YouTube Live. Welcome to the City of Romulus City Council regular meeting, and today's date is Monday, May 12th, 2025. Members of the public wishing to participate in tonight's meeting may do so under the public comment portion of the agenda. You're welcome to fill out a request to speak public comment card, which is located on the table in the back of the chambers and handed to our deputy clerk. At this time, we will have roll call. Councilwoman Abdo.
Here.
Councilman Kraut.
here.
Councilman Jones.
Here.
Councilwoman Roscoe.
Here.
Councilwoman Talley.
Here.
And Councilman Wadsworth.
Here.
And Madam Chair, we know that Councilman Barton is excused for this
Excused.
evening, so
Thank
noted.
you.
We have a quorum for tonight's council meeting. Council meeting agenda is as follows. Number one, agenda, 2 minutes, 3 petitioner, 4 chairperson's report, 5 mayor's report, 6 clerk's report, 7 treasurer's report, 8 public comment, 9 unfinished business, 10 new business, 11 warrant, 12 communication, and number 13 is adjournment. And a motion will be in order to accept the regular council meeting agenda as presented.
So moved to accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Mr. Kraut, for the approval of the regular meeting agenda. Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. Number 2 are the minutes. Agenda item 2A, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held on Monday, April 28th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m.
Madam Chairman, I'm gonna move for the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting that was held on Monday, April 28th at 7:30.
Support.
Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, for the approval of the regular meeting minutes from the April 28th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. meeting. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. Agenda item 2B, for approval of the minutes from the special meeting study session held on Monday, April 28th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. to discuss the proposed 25-26 fiscal year city budgets.
Madam Chairman, I'm gonna move that we approve the minutes from the special meeting that was held on Monday, April 28th at 6:00, and it was in regards to the 25-26 budget.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Mr. Kraut, for the approval of the minutes from the special meeting study session held on Monday, April 20th at 6 p.m. regarding the city budgets. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. Number 3 is petitioner, and there are no petitioners on the agenda this evening. Takes us to number 4, the chairperson's report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we get into any business, we want to open up the floor, and I'm going to yield over to Ms. Celeste Roscoe for a couple of items to address.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First thing I have is we had a special meeting earlier this evening in regards to our pre-65 city retirees insurance plan. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to concur with administration's recommendation in approving a new Blue Cross Blue Shield HRA 5000 health care plan to replace the existing Blue Cross Blue Shield HRA 2500 plan for non-Medicare eligible retirees, and authorizing the mayor or human resource director to be approved signatories. The new plan is to go into effect July 1st, 2025. If I can get approval.
Support.
I'm gonna go, Ms. Roscoe, thank you for the motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Jones, for the approval of the, was it a resolution? For approval to concur with the administration's recommendation in approving a new Blue Cross Blue Shield HRA 5,000 health care plan to replace the existing Blue Cross Blue Shield HAR 2,500 plan for non-Medicare eligible retirees, and authorizing the mayor or human resources director to be approved signatories. The new plan is to be effective July 1st. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
And the second thing I have tonight is I would like to ask for a memorial resolution for Kendall Carr. If I can get support, and I'll read some of the resolution that we have here for Mr. Carr, which I remember him quite often back in my Flyers days with my boys and different things. He was always so supportive of a lot of things in the community. But it says, whereas Kendall Carr was a proud veteran of the U.S. Army, serving for 28 years, which included 2 tours in Vietnam. He achieved the rank of Commander Sergeant Major and played a key role in establishing the Boy Scouts in Fort Knox, Kentucky. Additionally, he served as an ROTC instructor at Eastern Michigan University. Kendall was also a devoted member of the Masonic Temple. And Kendall enjoyed 62 wonderful years of marriage to his late wife, Mary Carr. His greatest joy came from spending time with his 3 children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren while supporting their sports activities. And he was very involved in that always. He was not just supportive, he was always there, and I can remember him always helping out with everything, and his wife Mary too. He also loved building models and working on cars. As a devoted family man, Kendall's life revolved around his loved ones, and the impact he made on those he encountered reflects the legacy he leaves behind. And our deepest sympathy goes out to the family.
Amen. Thank you, Mrs. Roscoe. I have a dilemma because I don't know who seconded that.
I did.
Ms. Abdo, okay. It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Abdo, for the memorial resolution for Kendall Carr. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved. So, that we're done with the business at hand, we have a presentation from our superintendent of schools, if he would like to come up and address. I just want to put out there, this is informational only. This is not city business. This is here for him to present to us things going on in the district. This is not in the city's jurisdiction. So with that being said, I will yield over to our superintendent of schools, Dr. Ben Edmondson. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And his team, his cabinet.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's great to see you. Thank you for giving us this opportunity at the city council meeting. I want to acknowledge the mayor, who I enjoyed working with since I've been back. It's wonderful to see you again. And to the city council, particularly Tina Talley, for, I guess you're taking over today as
I am.
as the chair. So thank you so much for having us. We've been working on this for a while. I will introduce my team, but I'd first like to say that we have 3 of our Board of Education members here. Ms. Judy Kennard, there. We have Ms. Ursula Rogers, and we have Mr. Darcel Davis here, and 2 other people, my administrative assistant here, and the administrative assistant for our HR is here too. So we're going to run through this. This is a presentation that you're going to see, and everything is factual. We encourage you to ask questions. Okay? Everything in terms of me being a leader is about transparency, truth and transparency, because I believe when you have truth, when you speak the truth and you're transparent, you gain trust. So there's no question that you can't ask us. We'll be glad to answer them. If we can't, then we'll get back to you. But since we're on TV as well, we want you to be able to ask any questions. So I'm going to at least introduce my team here. I'll let them introduce themselves first.
Good evening, my name is Adam Dennison, and I am the Director of Integrated Technology.
Good evening, my name is Kevin Brock, I'm the Director of Human Resources.
Good evening, my name is Janelle Edwards, the Interim Director of Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development.
Hello, Jason Perkins, Director of Operations.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you, and thank you again for having us. I'm going to move the mic, if that's all right, if I could just move around here, and then you all can come up here. Again, let me just start here. All information, all you have to do is ask us for information, we'll give it to you. There's nothing that we're trying to hide, absolutely nothing. I see, as I looked around, I see our needs assessment is out here already, and that's good. We want you to have the needs assessment because we want everybody in the community to be informed. It's their choice how they vote, that is up to them. But first, I'm going to run through the slides here with my team because this is an educational process. We've been working hard to educate not only our staff, but next is we're going out in the community because there are absolutely do's and don'ts that go on when you have a village campaign. There are do's and don'ts that we have to be responsible for. So we're going to start here. Campaign finance rules. School districts may provide factual information to voters such as how bond or village revenues will be spent, estimates of the increase in taxes for voters. Right off the rip, I'm going to say to you, there are no additional taxes. You'll see that. I'll keep saying it because I realize that's already out there that my taxes are going to go up. Not here, they're not going to go up. So I will explain that, but I want to be very clear on addressing that one first. Provide this information when we put something out. The district, we can do it via our district website, community meetings, forums, mass mailings, advertisements, robocalls, flyers to parents, newsletters, social media, and of course we're here. So we can do that. The law says you can do that. Employees can advocate for or against the vote on their own time and with their own resources. And I'll make sure, I'll circle back on that. All members of the public can make comments during public comment period of board meetings for or against the vote. You can do that. Board of Education may adopt a resolution for or against the vote. You can do that. Board members and superintendent only can advocate for or against in public. So I can do that. Okay, school board can do that. But district resources cannot be used to distribute those views. So I can't put anything out in my email that's district resource. I can't say vote yes. But I can talk about information. I can say there is a vote. Okay, but outside of that, when I'm coming here or if I'm in a school and I see parents, I am more than welcome to say yes. Employees, no. Board members, yes. Superintendent, yes. We can identify the district as a source of information and printed materials. So when you get printed materials, if it is a bond committee, sorry, you always talk to them. If it's a bond committee, then they will tell you how they got the resources. Okay, and if it's me, I have to explain it as well. Let's get to the other part. Districts may not. We may not use district-owned property, including cell phones, laptops, social media, and emails to advocate for or against the vote. So I can't do it for or against the vote. None of us can. And I've informed some of our staff, we've met with half of our schools and the staff to explain the rules. There are rules to this. We cannot provide supplies or services to a ballot committee. Can't do it. Can't solicit directly for or against a ballot proposal. Okay. Can't do it. We can only say, this is the vote, this is when it is. That's it. Okay? But the rules for me are slightly different, as I said. Develop and provide to a ballot committee a list of supporters or opponents. Can't do that. Okay? The district cannot do that. Allow employees during work hours to campaign for or against the vote. It's pretty clear. Lease district space to a ballot committee for a phone bank or similar operations. I laugh at that. When's the last time you've seen a phone bank? That's dated, but that's the law. Can't do that. Finishing up. We cannot expressly advocate for or against the vote. Examples include the following words. We can't say vote for, elect, support, cast your ballot for, vote against, defeat, reject. Can't do that. We cannot link from the district's website to websites that expressly support or oppose the vote. We cannot allow employees to wear on district time buttons or clothing saying vote yes or vote no during district time. Now, if they choose to do that outside of district time, that's on them. Just can't do it during district time. And lastly, disseminate campaign literature at school buildings. We can't do that. So that's the rules, and I just want everybody to be clear on what we can and can't do. There are rules to this. Truth plus transparency equals trust. I pretty much said that before. When we're truthful and we're transparent, we hope to gain your trust. There's no reason for me to tell anything that's not true. I don't benefit from it at all. at all, and neither do we. You ask us a question, you deserve to get the answer, and we should also be transparent with the information you get. True. Now this, have to explain this to everybody because a lot of people don't understand that because you're not in this role. There is no state funding for school infrastructure in Michigan. No state funding, no federal funding. Schools can use their existing funds to pay for these building upgrades, but this takes money away from the classroom and students. Okay, there's no money that the state gives me to fix up your buildings. So every district must do a bond. So when people complain, here they come again, or whatever it is, whatever community it is, they have to ask if they want the infrastructure to be redone. Okay? Thus, districts turn to bond campaigns to address aging buildings and infrastructure. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Schools can request voters to support taxes for bonds and sinking funds. We currently have a sinking fund. It went out in 2018, it was successful, it goes to 2028. Right now, we get $3.9 billion a year. That's up because all the businesses that are coming in around us, we benefit from that. So it was 2.9, now it's 3.9, but it's pay as you go. You get it every year, you get it, and you have to figure out how you're gonna spend it. There's usually a spend down plan. Bonds, what we're talking about today, is borrowing money and paying back a loan with interest and fees. That's what it is, just like having a house, just like having a car. That's what a school bond issue is. That's what we have to do for our infrastructure. Sinking funds, as I said, are pay-as-you-go savings account for specific purposes. So ours runs until 2018. That is the last time that this community has gone out and asked anything from homestead people that have a home. Okay. We did an operating millage. I'll explain that. Operating millage is for non-homestead. Every school district must go and do, every 10 years, do an operating millage. That's your non-homestead. So anybody that owns a home, it doesn't impact you. That's the operating millage. That was done when I was first here in 2020. 2020? Yes, 2020. Very important because misinformation is already out there. Pursuant to the state law, expenditures of bonds, proceeds must be audited, and the proceeds cannot be used for repair or maintenance costs of any buildings. You cannot use it for teacher, administrator, superintendent, employee salaries, or other operating expenses. The bond is exactly what it's meant to do, and that's for the infrastructure of your schools. No salaries. Could we go back one? I'm just going to reiterate this again. Schools can use their existing funds to pay for these buildings. Our school district has a $4.2 million fund to equity. Okay, that's like a savings account. Okay, the things that we need, we can't afford. A school district cannot afford it. It says it clearly. It can't afford to do it. That's why you go out and do a bond every 25 to 30 years, because you can't do it. You can't raise that kind of capital. This is my promise as the superintendent to anyone that's in this community. Okay? We make the students our priority. We are consistent. We will be responsible with taxpayer money. Do what we say we're going to do. Collaborate with the City of Romulus leadership. Be visible and accessible. Tell the truth. Be transparent. Upkeep and update. Impact lives. Set expectations for all, not just students. Market the RCS brand, provide a compelling vision, make leadership matter, evidence of positive morale and growth, prioritize stability, show examples of progress, and be relevant in our own hometown. This is our brand since 2023. We've redesigned some things, so when you see some of the old logos that a lot of people are connected to, we still have those. Okay, so the old eagle, the old R, all that, we still have those. But it's just like the Detroit Lions or any other athletic team or any other industry, you have to revamp. At some point, you have to revamp and stay current. So these are a lot of the things that you'll see, and our praise is tomorrow starts today. Romulus Community Schools, what does it exist? What does it consist of? Romulus Early Childhood Center, formerly Corey, Romulus Elementary School, Barth Elementary School, Hale Creek Elementary School, Wigg Elementary School, Romulus Middle School, Romulus High School, Romulus Virtual Learning Center, and Romulus Adult Education. You will be happy, I would hope to know, that we are selling, in the next week or two, Merriman will be sold. That was closed. Okay, it's something that you should always know as a community, never close a building before you know what you're gonna do with it. Otherwise, the community will turn on you. And sometimes they have done that, doesn't matter where you are. Mount Pleasant, we have a plan for that, and you'll see that shortly. That's gotta go too. Okay, it's only fair to the people that live there that you fix it or you get rid of it. So those are our cadre of properties. Why a bond initiative now? Wonderful question. Because there's a comprehensive infrastructure needs that we have done, an architect, okay? Arisman is the architect out of Troy. They did the needs assessment. We did our own as well. Michigan Schools Finance Research Foundation study that happened last year, where they went to all the schools in the state of Michigan to find out what's our infrastructures look like. Most schools in Michigan have been built prior to 1950. Most. It is what it is. And the last RCS bond was 1999. So when people say, why now? Why are you charging up? Why do you want that kind of money? Because 1999 was the last time that this was done. And the bonds are almost paid off now. Almost. Not quite, but almost. So at some point, you have to come back to your community. And I think it's more than fair after 26 years to say, I think it's time. Progress. I'm going to turn this over to our Interim Director of Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development, Ms. Janelle Edwards.
Thank you. When we make progress, what does progress look like? Well, progress looks like a brand new entrance to our high school, a new self-defense room, again, at our high school. Another picture of our self-defense room. We have a new weight room at our high school with all different types of equipment for not just athletes, but all of our students. We have a brand new football field. Track is all done as well. And a new scoreboard. Thank you. We have a new cafeteria furniture in our high school. Great computer lockers for our computers. And what this is when students are in need of a computer repair, they can go in, kind of like Little Caesars. When you go inside and you make your order online and you pick up your pizza. So they can go in there, type in their information, and the door is open for them to insert their computers, and it also sends a ticket to our tech department. We have new furniture at our middle school in the cafeteria as well. A newly renovated library and media center at the middle school. We have our great entrance to our esports program at the high school. Another look into the esports room where we have our gaming chairs and all of the equipment for gaming of esports. And there is this. I'm going to turn this back over.
Thank you, great job. So esports, if you don't know, that's electronic gaming, so students are playing video games against other students, and there are other components such as coding and things like that. That's something that our Director of Technology brought here this year. We have grown in size. We started with, I believe, 12, and now we have 24. Our students went to the States this year. First time ever, we placed 4th place. Not bad for your first year, 4th place, so we're very excited about that. Now let's talk about what's current. And there is this. Any of you, would you like to do this as you are our Director of Operations? You'll wait? Okay. All right, so this is part of why you do your infrastructure. So this is the bathroom at the high school, our parking lots, just for our parking lots, $11 million. Just to fix every parking lot in our school district is $11 million. We don't have it. We don't have $11 million, and we can't take it out of, you could try, but we don't have the money to even take it out. Otherwise, you're hurting instruction. High school, that's our RVLC, you all can see that. High school, it's just dilapidated. This is our gymnasium. It still looks good. It's a little bit dated, though. It's a little bit dated. It's still nice. You can see that's some of our panels in our, what do you call that? That would be panels where, what do you call that? Ceiling tiles, thank you. So we have our tennis courts that are pretty dilapidated. Our goal is to turn those into pickleball because we understand, and when the mayor says one Romulus, he and I do talk. And we talk about the things that the community values. We've had this conversation, so we'd like to turn some of our tennis courts into pickleball for those that play. And I'm a tennis player, I'm not a pickleball player. So I played tennis in high school, but this is what our tennis courts look like. Bathrooms at the high school, dated. Renovations, obviously, I mean, nobody even takes a shower. That's a shower, so I mean, nobody even goes in there. That's one of our locker rooms. This is going up the steps to our, should be to our self-defense room. Now, this is our press box. Now, we'll get to the next picture real fast, but that's the press box. Now, you see the beautiful field here, and then this is your press box to go along with it, okay? Moving on. You've all seen that as well. I believe a question was asked about who that was. Our president of the school board put that out, so you can see how old that is, and that needs to be renovated, or not renovated, because you can't renovate. It needs to be replaced. Okay. Same thing as you can see, just upgrades. Everything needs to be upgraded. This was done in our sinking fund. Sometimes it's hit or miss. This is hit or miss. This is outside the high school. You see, it's a beautiful, beautiful structure, poorly designed. Has to be redone. But you can see that's part of the pixelation problems that we have here. Now, let me talk about enrollment, because this is important. So 2020, 2021 was my first stint here as superintendent. Our enrollment, there was a steady trend of losing 300 kids at least a year. I got here in 2021. Ms. Edwards was here too, and some of the staff. School board knows this because we've gone over this. You can see the trend. You can see that there's a trend where enrollment is declining. It is. But the nice thing for me is that it's kind of been, we kind of, I don't want to say fixed. You don't ever want to say that. Leveled. Okay? We've leveled. Okay, we're leveling and we've leveled. So I feel good about that, but again, that's hit or miss. But if people believe in what you're doing, then eventually they do come back. Okay, but there's been a trend, many of you know that. So residence versus school choice. I wanted the city council and the community to understand this, that we have roughly 2,100 kids in the school district, down from years past, but we've been able to level off. So people ask, do the kids that go to the school, do they live in Romulus? There's your answer. 1,800 of the 2,100, so 85% of the kids that go to Romulus Community Schools live in Romulus, whereas 329 choice in. Now, remember I talked about truth and transparency. Now let's talk, I don't have this up here, but 1,900 kids choice out of Romulus that live here. Choice out and go into other communities. Now, 4 years ago that number was 2,000. A little bit more than 2,000, so I feel very good that we're trending positively to get that number down to 1,900. So something is happening, it just takes time. It takes time for people to come back and believe that you're doing what you say you do, and things like that. So just want to put that up here. For a community that's 50-50 in terms of racially, what you can see here is, in terms of our population of students, 72% are African American. When a community is 50-50, 72%, and the schools are not. So you can see that conversely, 18% are Caucasian. So I'm not here to talk about what that is or why, I'm just here to say it is what it is, and that's what it is. We can move on. Revenue resources, so this is where we generate our revenue. Local taxes bring in 41%, that's you all, $16 million. State funding, $19 million, that's from the state. And federal funding is $6,500,000. So, that's $6,500,000, I'm sorry. So you can see the percentage where we get our revenue from. So again, if we were to go back and talk about facilities, infrastructure, you can see it can't come from state funding and it can't come from your federal funding. So you'd have to depend on local taxes to be able to accomplish that. Expenditures, that's right on par. Expenditures is usually about 68% to 70% when it comes down to your human resources or your staffing. Okay, so support services, 30%, other expenses, 1.5%. So our district. 80% of Romulus tax base is commercial and industrial, and 20% of tax base is residential. So when I talk to our good old mayor, when we have our conversations, he always says to me, rooftops, ban rooftops. We need more rooftops, and I couldn't agree with you more, but I will say that we have benefited by the strong commercial and industrial industry, and I want to thank you and the city council for that fortunately we can depend on that. So this really keeps us going, and with an operating millage as well, same thing, but so does this. This is just as important to everyone. This is just as important to us, that we need our community to support us. City of Romulus, since 1999, I can talk to you about 1999, September was the last time that a bond was done, $34 million. Yeah, that's a big difference between the $153 million ask, but that was 26 years ago. When I go to get eggs, I get sick to my stomach at the cost of eggs. It's just inflation, and it's just where we are. But again, I'll explain that in greater detail. But you can see these are the trends that have gone on when there's been a proposal or when we've gone out to the community. I've said, or I will share, let me take 2021, May 2021 operating millage proposal. Again, an operating millage, every 10 years, a school district must go out and ask the community, the taxpayers, to support and approve the operating millage. It's no money to anybody that owns a home unless it's your second home. It's for non-homestead. So if we take that out, and we go to August 2018, that was the last time that was asked for taxpayers, and that is the sinking fund proposal, 2018, and it goes to 2028. It expires 2028. We do, like any other school, you have the option to try to come back and do a renewal. We haven't even had that conversation yet. May not even have to have that conversation, but it could always be out there. The thing that gets me, that makes me think the most on this, is that when this election happens, it's going to be close. Based on the history of Romulus, it's going to be close. No matter how good I'm feeling about anything, based on what we see in the past, you see things have failed. And we see how things have passed. And I will share this. Just last Monday, 50% of the communities passed or failed, however you want to look at it, their millages, school millages. 50%, down from 75%. It was 75% a few years ago, so districts and communities were supportive. But something has happened now, and we know it's probably the economy. Okay. Success is in our rearview mirror. I don't want to have to read all of those, I'll let you see, but we're pretty proud of the things that we've been able to accomplish in a rather short period of time. I would say these have been done, most of them, in the last 3 years, or less. A lot of the things that we have gotten done here. So we're all proud of the things that we've been able to do, and have not gone and asked the taxpayers since 2018 for these things. So this to me is about leadership and vision. Okay, the people that we have helping support and run our district. We're very proud of the collaborations that we have, the partnerships that we have, the improved culture and climate. Even if you say, well, the numbers are down. Well, let's take a look at that. Like I said, a couple of years ago, we lost over 2,000 choicing out. Now it's 1,900. So proud of the culture and climate that we have in this community as well, in our schools. I'm going to move on, because that's there for everybody. Now, sinking funds, 2018 to 2028, you have federal money, which is title funds, you have state money, and you have the cafeteria fund. So I just wanted to, with my team, we put down just some things so that you can know how we've been spending our money. Again, not asking, coming to the taxpayers. Just in the last few years, okay, the SF is for sinking fund, the title says Title IV, whatever title it was, 31AA is your state monies, and then your cafeteria fund. So some of the things that we had shown you we've been able to do because we've been fiscally responsible. And I go back to that first page. I'm not going to overspend taxpayer money. I'm not going to overspend, period. You stay within your budget the same way I do at my own house, and I think that all of us do the same way, being fiscally responsible. So those are just some of the new things that you would see in the last few years. Moving on. ESSER funds. Heard that's a hot topic around ESSER funds. That was the government coming in and saying in 2020 to mitigate the damage from COVID. And it's interesting now that we're in 2025 that people seem to forget what happened in 2020, 2019. So we have used the funds to the tune of $20,300,000, I believe. 65% of that, the federal government said they wanted you to use on your salaries because they knew that people were losing their jobs, losing their homes, and how that impacts your school. So we used the money. We used the money the way that they said, and we had some other ideas or some other recommendations that we absolutely took. But this will give you some of the ideas of what we've done with the ESSER money. Never overspent ESSER money, never. Didn't even give it back either, though. Okay, just so you know, we didn't give it back either, but we used it properly. So now I'm going to turn this over to, I guess, myself. I see you all, you guys are looking like I am. All right, so we're going to talk now quickly about the bond projections and completion. So for the community to know, it's a 6-year effort. If we pass the bond in 2025, it should be finished. Everything that we want is done in 2031. But remember, it's a loan. This is a loan. It's not paid off just like my car. Okay, my car is not paid off. Actually, it is now. But if your car is not paid off, you're still driving it. So we still get these things, but in 6 years, we should complete everything. So now I'm just going to go, you can see every school, every one of our district properties here that we have here. The first series, if passed, starts 2025. This will be in August. We'll probably start in September. We'll start in August, but really starting the work will be September. 2025 to 2028, these things will occur at this cost. Okay. Now, when I get to the next slide, you're going to actually see what these things are. But right now, this is the cost. Every school is different in our community. They're all different. Some have been better maintained, others have not been, but they're all very well maintained. If you go in, I feel really proud of how our buildings look. Series 2 would happen in 2027 to 2029, okay? This would be the next series. And then the third and final series would be here. If you look, if I can get to series 1, people are always interested. I've been in the business almost over 30 years. What's the administration getting? What's the superintendent? They're always heavy over there. Not here, we're not. Okay, we're not even doing anything in our building until 2027, if passed. Okay. But Mount Pleasant is our priority. And we said that if we did not go this way, we were going to use our sinking fund, our $3.9 million, and knock that down ASAP. The building must go. You all live here. You know the building must go. It's too bad that that's there, but it's our responsibility to correct it for the community, and we will do that. That building is coming down. Okay. Again, I look at the mayor because she said to me, I need rooftops. Well, we can have that conversation when it gets knocked down. We can have that conversation. So you can see at the very bottom, though, okay, 57 million, Series 1. Series 2 would be 54 million, and that would start in 2027. And then Series 3 starts in 2029 with the completion of 2031, would be 40 million. Now, I think I'm ready to turn the mic over because we're going to be talking about some of the specifics because people want to know, where's that money? What are you doing with that money? You're about to see. So I'm going to turn this over to our Director of Technology, Mr. Adam Dennison.
Thank you, Dr. Emerson. As you just saw in the previous slide, that's yours. Most everything will be done in 3 phases. Technology will only take 2. First phase is going to be infrastructure and safety and security. We'll do that all in 1 phase. Infrastructure is for obvious reasons. You're not going to put siding on your house, before you fix your foundation. Your foundation's cracked, right? You've got to have a good foundation. And then we can move on to the second phase to instruction. So in that first phase, you see network switch expansion. What that is I see right in this room, I see a lot of network devices. I see projectors, I see cameras, I see clocks, I see all kinds of stuff. Those all have to go back to what's called a network switch. They all have to be powered via switch. our closets are full. We don't have room to expand anything else. So if we want to put new bells and whistles in our classrooms in the district, we don't have room to put those in. Cell phone boosters, that's pretty obvious. We have a cell phone signal problem in most of our schools, majority of our schools. If that network goes down and there's an emergency, those phones go down, we don't have a cell phone signal to get out. That's kind of an issue. New phone system, cool audio, I won't go through the obvious. Technology, outdoor signage, as the picture you saw before. What we're looking at is flash fire signs. What you have that's sitting out here in the front of your road. That's beautiful signs. Security camera expansions, access control upgrades. So that's fobbing in to get into the buildings. New bells, PAs, security concern. And then the third phase, we can get on to all the bells and whistles. Interactive panels for every classroom. Middle school and high school are still using old projectors. Okay? The elementaries do have interactive panels. They're about 5, 6 years old. Need to be replaced. We also need to put some in the secondary buildings as well. New PCs, I won't go over that. A one-to-one student device allocation. So that will be a pot of money to sit for students to still receive a one-to-one Chromebook. Now, most districts were not one-to-one before COVID. When ESSER came along, all that money was used to give every student a Chromebook so they could learn from home. Now it's become the norm. Without ESSER funds, that takes a lot of money to sustain because these expire. They expire every 10 years. Once those Chromebooks expire, I can no longer issue those Chromebooks out to students because they have to meet certain criteria for state testing, SATs, and WAs. So those have to be replaced. And then we've got charging stations, new PCs, interactive panels, just bells and whistles. Jason, I think you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Dennison. Hello again, my name is Jason Perkins, Director of Operations. So I'm going to speak to the facility upgrades. That's what I do for the district. And I would be the main point of contact in terms of construction for the district, which I've done in a neighboring district. I'd like to let you guys know that Mr. Dennison and I have both worked in former districts with a bond and overseen a bond program to make sure that that money gets spent responsibly from beginning the campaign stage all the way until the end when we finish up that last construction project. So we have an experienced team who's ready to spend this money responsibly and has done it before. So, hit me, Mr. Dennison. I'm going to talk about the facility upgrades. Okay, I'll wing it.
Or maybe you can tap it so that it goes to the next one.
Okay. So in terms of facility upgrades, basically I want to refer back to that needs assessment, that we're not just going, hey, we want to fix everything up and we want a bunch of money. That a very comprehensive needs assessment has been done to specifically identify the needs of our district at every building. You also see the dollar amounts are different in the different series. And the reason for that is because there's more needs at certain buildings, right? So we're not just throwing money at buildings, we're identifying the actual needs and addressing them accordingly. So I put together kind of an overview of the different projects. If we had all the projects in here that we do with $152 million, it would be a 3-page thick document. So we do not have I don't want the community to see it and say, hey, you're not fixing up that. There's a very good chance we could be, because we can't fit everything into today's presentation. So we just kind of did a brief synopsis of each building and kind of the major highlights of what would be upgraded in those particular buildings. So first we have, I think there's one before this. Before that. There we go. So first we'll talk about all the buildings, because you'll notice it's a common theme though to it, all the buildings for the upgrades. So this would be at all the buildings, district-wide, parking lots, landscaping, playgrounds, generators for each building. We know how big the power outages are and how much that can disrupt school. With power being out here in Romulus, it's very common. Generators in every building, a lot of abatement, that's asbestos abatement if you guys are familiar with that. Carpet replacements, window replacement, exterior and interior door replacements, which are also very much needed. Hit me, Mr. Newsom. All right, Barth Elementary. I'm not going to read every one here. Maybe I could just go through some of the major highlights, you guys. But stairs, flooring, LED lights, millworks in the classroom. It's old, pink, outdated stuff currently. A lot of painting. Our fire suppression systems, upgrading those, so a lot of safety things. Our fire alarms, and then furniture, of course. Hell Creek Elementary, again, you'll see ceiling, lighting, fire suppression, HVAC improvements, exterior lighting, again, furniture upgrades, and this particular school, basketball hoop upgrades. Wick Elementary, ceiling, lighting, painting, millwork, HVAC improvements. This particular building is a main electrical distribution that is needed. Fire alarm, basketball, and furniture upgrades. Romulus Elementary, fencing, concrete, roof replacement. This is the only building that we don't have a newer roof on, needs a roof replacement. Carpeting, media center, ceiling. Painting, this one needed a domestic water heater and mixing valve that's specific to this building. Chiller pumps, exhaust fans, fire alarms, and furniture. Romulus Middle School. So we have the pickleball, that's number 3 on there. Track storage building, the concession stand, we feel it needs a major upgrade, it's very outdated. Video scoreboard, removing an old walk-in refrigerator that's specific to that building. Interior doors, stair treads, classroom millwork, this is the old pink cabinetry again. Interior painting, toilet partitions, the elevators need some modernization in this particular building. Fire suppression, HVAC improvements, and fire alarm. Last but not least, Romulus High School. The tennis courts with pickleball again, replacing the dugouts and upgrading the baseball and softball. Landscaping, exterior painting, so I know everyone knows that half of that building's gray, right? The rest of it doesn't match. Now we're gonna finish it. Paint the rest of that building, complete that project. Ceiling and lighting, flooring, classroom millwork, a lot of locker room upgrades and remodels as well as the bathrooms. Art room remodeling, TV productions remodel. This is a program that we want to bring back to Romulus High School. We want to fix up that room, along with welding. It's an exciting one to bring welding to Romulus schools. Talk about getting those students back. If we offer welding that maybe some other neighboring districts don't, let's bring those kids in, right? So welding. Laundry facility, this is for McKinney-Vento, or those who may not have access to laundry facilities. We want to create something for the community where you can come and do your laundry. There would obviously be a system to enter through an exterior door.
Doesn't quite sound right. McKinney-Vento are students that are homeless. So this is something that you do for homeless students. So it's not anybody just gets to use that's not how that works.
Oh, darn.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. You gotta go home and do your laundry, sorry. All right, water heater, HVAC improvements, fire alarm, and furniture upgrades. Romulus, early childhood, fencing, door lintels, gym flooring, classroom millwork, interior painting, ceiling and LED lighting, kitchen remodel, HVAC improvements, electrical distribution system at this building as well, exterior lighting, fire alarm, and furniture upgrades. And last but not least, the administration building. We want to put the money into kids learning right and making learning spaces conducive for just that, but the administration building does need a few things as well. The loading dock in the back is falling apart. We have replacing that. We want to put a sign out front or a marquee. Landscaping, flooring, ceiling, boiler replacement, and add a fire alarm because there's non-existing currently in that particular building. Not even smoke detector. Oh, there's one more, I'm sorry. Romulus Transportation Building. Sorry, not last. Romulus Transportation Building, parking lot, concrete, underground storage tanks, a huge one. So our underground storage tanks in the transportation facility are failing. They're barely passing inspection, barely insurable. They need to be dug up out of the ground and the tanks that hold the fuel replaced underground. So that's a very expensive one, as you can imagine. We have that there at our bus garage. Bus garage addition, so it's not the whole bus garage, it's bumping the front out a little bit. Some of the modern buses are longer and they can't pull them into our bus garage. So we'll be bumping it out in the front, kind of putting a new face on that building so we can now pull those longer buses into our bus garage to work on them. And then just some, don't know, because you asked Mr. Dennison, but passing up, building demolition. Mount Pleasant, we've heard the community speak very clearly, very loudly about this, that building is an eyesore and it needs to go. We have in there demolishing that building accounted for. That's all. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, I appreciate it. This is the exact language that you will see on the ballot. It's just like this. You have it on your sheet, so I don't want to necessarily read it, but it's 153 million. People ask why. Well, we did a needs assessment, and that's where we came up with that. It was actually higher than that, the needs assessment. But we took some things off because we're like, no. So it's 153 million. It can't exceed that. You can't change it. Once we've already gone out now, can't change any of the things that we said we're going to do. Can't change the language, period. This is what it will say. And it reads just like that. Next. For informational purposes. So this is interesting, but I'll give you the visual next here. Basically, we're asking for 2.7 to levy 2.7 mils. Currently, in Romulus, your mills, what you pay, taxes to the school district, 8.25 per $1,000. So if your home is valued at $100,000, you're looking at $825. If it's valued at $100,000, okay, that's 8.25 mils. Some of the bond, there's like 2 years remaining. The next year, in July of 2025, so in 2 months, that number drops down to 7 mils, no matter what. No matter if this passes, fails, it drops down to 7 mils per $1,000 that your house is valued. So right there, you can see already, mills are dropping, so that makes sense. What we're asking is, when the community goes to vote in August, at the end, if they support it, at the end of the year, the mills drop again to 4.3, okay? And then this kicks in at 2.7 for the bond, which puts it back up to 7. Remember, right now, we're at 8.25 mils, so for anybody to say, oh, we're paying more, you're not. Okay, if anything, I can't say that you're paying less, because in July, that number drops down to 7. So the thing that I can say is it remains steady at 7. It will remain steady for all these things. It remains steady at 7, which, to my knowledge, is less than 8.25. So it's going down no matter what. Okay. If that fails, and now I go here. So this is the visual. Okay. The mills that you pay on your house. Summer levy, 8.25 in 2024. July of this year drops down to 7. 2026, January, this 7 drops to 4.3. Then, if this is successful, this kicks in, keeps it at 7. Okay, I talked to the mayor. I don't want to put him out there like that, but he did tell me that there's no special elections in August. We go out for August. The school district usually goes out for August, because it's a special one, and if it fails, that gives you an opportunity to still go back in November. So everything kind of stays the same. You start changing fiscal years and things, it really changes. Because now the taxpayers will say, what? You dropped us down to here, now you want to raise it all the way? And that's a harder sell than this to say, listen, July, from 8.25, now we're down to 7. You get comfortable with the 7, and then we stay at 7, and we're able to give all of our kids and the community 30-year guarantee that, hey, this is what we're going to have. We have this school district in the right place, at least structurally, we're in the right place. My job and our job is not infrastructure, is the internal and the education piece. But infrastructure-wise, you also want to compete. So you'll see at the end of this, I say, this is not a vote, it's not a referendum, and it should not be a referendum on Romulus Community Schools, because if you live here and your kids go somewhere else, you still live here. And your value of your house, the value of your house is tied into the schools. I don't live in the community, I live in Canton. And my tax money goes to Belleville schools. I don't have any kids in Belleville. None. But I will support Belleville because I know that my property value needs to stay where it is, so I'm a friend of this, I'm a friend of Belleville schools, but I love Romulus. Super clear. I love Romulus, but I'm a friend of Belleville's because I get it. So if I can turn to the next one. What local districts levy bond, what they levy for bonds for their schools, you can get to see the years. I put the years, I put Romulus at 34 million. Okay, that stands out. If you look at the others, you know what? There's somebody that didn't get to talk here. So I'm gonna give him the mic because I know he wants to talk. He got his nice suit on and whatnot. He said, what about me? I'll let you do it.
Passed over my part, so that's all right.
Man, my bad, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Kevin Brock, Director of Human Resources, and I think what's important here is to note that if we all seen the field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. When I came out of college in 1997, 1998, Romulus Community Schools was a place where everybody wanted to come teach. Will we ever get back to that? No, but it will be different. And I will tell you, we for the first time in a long time, have a golf team. Our kids are playing golf and doing well. We have esports, doing well, fourth in the state. We have a culinary arts program for the first time in 5 years. And there's a waiting list for kids to get in. We're renovating that space right now. Bring welding here. My kid, I have 5 boys. I won't say it, but I have 5 boys. My one son is a welder, making more than my wife, who's a 4th grade teacher. First year, 18 years old, and could not get into a welding program to save his life. Got his first job, got into the union trained him, he's got 4 certifications, which we can provide to our kids. We will be a welding mecca when this passes. And our kids, there are waiting lists across the state for trades, for career and technical. Our kids need to learn that. I'm a former CTE guy, if you didn't notice. So I say that because that's how important this is for our kids. It's important for the community, it's important for us to bring some of the prestige. Not that it's gone, it's just gonna look different than it did in 1997, 98. This was a petri dish for education. My wife waited in line to get a job, I waited in line to get a job, and neither one of us got hired here. Will we get back to that glory? No, but it will look different, and it will look better because it is different 30 years ago. 30 years has changed, we all have cell phones. 30 years ago, we didn't even know what they were. So I think it's important to know what's up on the board is you'll look, and $153 million sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, it absolutely is a lot of money. But for a community that's trying to do what we're doing and what we've done in the last 3 years, being fiscally responsible with the funds that we already do receive from the community, if you look around some of the local districts, $153 million, comparatively speaking, looks like a lot, but what is important to note is some of these school districts have had multiple bonds over the last couple of years. Because bonds fall off. When bonds start to fall off, like you saw in that one graphic, when bonds start to fall off, it's important for the district to go back to the community to levy the same amount of mills to maintain what we already have. So you look at some of the school districts up there. And yes, comparatively speaking, Crestwood's the closest, $121 million, but I will tell you, Crestwood has passed, I think it's 3 bonds in the last 7 or 8 years. So it's probably more, but that's their most recent one, $121 million. Oh, sorry, 131. You're right, my bad. So the big thing about a community, and it's happened twice in the state of Michigan. When I was an administrator up in Flint, we talked a lot about a little school district called Buena Vista. Buena Vista, prior to me getting there, about 2 years prior to me getting to Flint, Buena Vista had closed their doors. And just shortly before that, Inkster closed their doors. So it can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. We don't want it to happen. We want our kids in this community to have the best possible education, the best access to education. And yes, a lot of this is infrastructure. It's almost all infrastructure. I will tell you, when I came here from the neighboring district, I was pleasantly surprised. We do a great job. We do a great job with our community and our school buildings. We do great work with making sure that they're clean and they're up to date, but drive through a parking lot. It's $11 million for parking lots across the district, and that's only going to get more expensive because of inflation.
Closing up, I'm gonna leave 2 slides, so I don't say last but not least, because I have one after this. This is for all of you. A yes vote is more than an RCS win, but a community win. This vote is for the community and for the students attending RCS. It is not a referendum on anyone's opinion on the district. Property value is tied into your schools. So I say there are a number of families that choice out. Said 1,900 choice out. They live in this community. Chances are they may vote no because they say, I don't have any kids there, but you live in Romulus. If you live in Romulus and the school district's buildings look dilapidated, it has an impact on your taxes. And that's going to be my message to everyone in the community. You vote however you like to vote. That's your choice. I'm going to certainly support our district and say this is what we think is best for our students and our community, and this is what's best for our taxpayers. But you're always going to get accurate information from me. Please do not hesitate if you have any questions to ask me or the committee, which you will see. We now have a bond committee of members. They all have said that they will work with us. Okay, there's only certain rules, again, for me. I have certain rules, but not many. Okay, but there's certain things, and you can go back to what the PowerPoint says or the slides. But Arthur Willis, Tina Dowling, Pete Bergeron, Carol Bales, Kay Page, Sandy Tenney, Ursula Rogers, right there. Ursula, hand, please. Judy Kennard, hand, and me. That is our committee. And I want to again thank you for your time. Again, any questions? I suppose there'll be some questions. We'll be glad to answer them. If not, I believe it opens up to the community. We'll be glad to answer them. And then I'm out. Long day for all of us. So for questions, we have a QR code. For anybody that that goes to the QR code, what you're going to get is this. You can ask a question that goes straight to my administrative assistant, Ms. Eve Cavallari. Put your hand up, please. She will get it. It'll go to me. You'll get an answer. Okay, you're going to get a truthful, honest answer because that is my responsibility to the community, and that's who I am. Okay, I'm working on the delivery part. I say that to everybody. I'm working on the delivery. It doesn't always come out the way that I want it to, so I apologize if I ever do that to somebody. But I'm going to give you the accurate information when you ask anything pertaining to this. Last page, we call it gains that sustain, and that's about the gains that will sustain our community to keep going past the mayor, past my tenure as well, and city council. Thank you so much. I will advocate the microphone to our chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Great presentation. Thank you for the detail. Thank you for not bringing that 300-something page thing you talked about earlier. Thank you, thank you. But thank you for the information, good information. So this is how we're going to do this. We're going to open it up to our council people first for questions. As our superintendent stated, there's a QR code. We're going to allow some questions tonight. We don't want to belabor the time any longer than we have, even though it's great information. We're going to open it up for some questions, but again, he has a QR code that's accessible. I think they have some pages in the back that you can scan tonight, the QR code, but at this point right now, we want to open it up to our council people for questions. Anybody want to open up? Oh, go ahead, Stacy.
Thank you very much. I actually have a lot of information that I want to go over, and I'll try to keep it brief. I know you guys covered a lot of it in the presentation, so bear with me as I go through these questions. But before I ask questions, I do want to make a statement. As a dedicated resident and taxpayer of this great city, I believe that strong, successful schools are the foundation of a thriving community. Our students deserve access to a high-quality education that prepares them for college, reflects the academic excellence of top-tier schools, and inspires pride in attending our local district. Increasing student enrollment is essential, not only to sustain our schools, but to ensure our children choose to stay, learn, and grow right here in our own community. Excellent schools enhance our property values, support efficient transportation planning, and offer families the invaluable convenience of outstanding education right in their own backyard. Investing in our schools is an investment in our city's future. So I want to be clear, that's how I feel. But I do have some questions and concerns. So we approved a bond in 1999. It passed for $34,165,000. Over $21 million of that is still outstanding. So 25 years later, we've only paid a fraction of that down. And now we're asking for $153 million. That is staggering to me. And before I get into the questions, I want to say each and every one of us have needs in our homes, in our communities, in our schools. We want new roads, we want nice buildings, we want clean bathrooms that is made for everybody. Our homes, there's so many things that we all want for our homes. But what's important is putting food on the table, clothes on our backs, and the things that we absolutely need. These are wonderful ideas, but I feel like we are improving absolutely everything. And there's no needs if we improve everything. So it's a little concerning to me. When we talked about local district levies, and you look at the bond here, so for instance, I pull up Taylor, there's 12 public schools in Taylor. There's 5,304 students. We have less than half of that, and we're not occupying 12 public schools. So we have to make sure that when we're doing comparison, we're throwing all the information out there so we know exactly what the facts are. With that being said, I do have some questions. With the COVID money, the ESSER, I believe that's how to pronounce it, is that, you shared that dollar amount, which was over 20 million. Do you have a separate fund that you would have received, like COVID relief, or is that one and the same?
First, I will say that our director of finance is not here. We just hired one. We've had someone else there who does all of the COVID. They do all of our finances. But your question was, is there a...
Is that correct, ESSER?
Yeah, no, it's
Okay, so
Federal money.
was there additional funds other than that for COVID relief?
We only got federal money. So we had $20 million.
Total?
$300,000, yes.
Okay.
And we have spent that.
Okay.
Yes.
Because of course, you know, you get phone calls, and I heard this crazy amount of money of 80 million. Again, I don't know if that's true or not. That's why I'm just asking you to get the
Thank you.
facts.
That is an absolute fair question. We had $20,300,000 for ESSER.
Okay. And so you showed a lot of improvements in the slide. That, I would imagine, was more than 20 million. There was a lot of improvements. Can you tell me where that, how did you pay for those
Yes.
improvements?
So if we were to go back, we can go back. We showed you that there's state money and there's federal money. Okay, and we said that when it came to ESSER money, and I'll show you again here. Right here. So this is just some of the things that we have done and how we were able to pay for them. So we get state money. You get state money, usually it's at-risk money. And you also get federal money. So you can see federal here. So we had sinking fund, things that were done. Title IV is federal money. CEF is cafeteria fund, ESSER money. So we try to put it in some kind of way that you would understand it so that it's clear. So you take all of those monies, you take all of those monies and you absolutely allocate where they need to go.
Okay.
Does that work? Yeah, sure.
And just to be completely transparent, if you see like the 31AA, the sinking fund, that doesn't mean we can just buy anything we want with that money. There's rules, there's specifics on what we can buy with that funding and what we can't buy. Just want to make that very clear.
So another answer to your question, the 20 million, if you look at the ESSER, it says ceiling and roof replacements. We replaced all but one building for roofs. Roofs are very, very expensive. They're about $2 million a piece times 6 roofs, I think we did. So we're almost $12 million in roofs. And I wasn't here at the time, so I might be speaking out of turn saying that we used ESSER money for all of the roofs, but I believe the majority of our roofs, some roofs are more expensive than others.
So you you got, and again, just to make sure I got the information, so we occupy 7 buildings?
And then there will be 10. We don't occupy.
Oh, yes.
Own, yes, occupy
Yes. I guess.
8.
Merriman is not occupied, and Pleasant is not occupied. So you have our early childhood 1, 4 elementary, so that's 5. Middle school 6, 7 is the high school plus RBL, so 1. And the engine,
Okay.
which includes transportation.
Can you tell me, what is the expected interest rate for the bond? Is it comparable to the current federal rate?
PFM, yeah, PFM, Director of Finance. I'll get that answer back to you. I don't have that in front of me. Typically, those interest rates are determined at the time of the sale of the bonds. So whatever interest rates are at that time is what we would pay down. There's an estimate that we were given by a financial firm that does, that helped us do the financial planning for this. It's called PFM. I can reach out to them and get that information. I know there was an estimated interest rate for payback.
Okay, thank you.
And I also want to never mind.
Also, I'd like to, so I talked about the existing bonds, I think it's 2, right? The 21 mil, is it 1 or 2? The outstanding.
Outstanding. I want to check your number on that. I just.
Well, you guys have it in your PowerPoint, you've got it right in the PowerPoint for 21 million, and that's the same number I have.
Okay.
Yeah, you have 21,230,000, and that's the same number I have. And it's on the, for informational purposes.
That's our money.
The school has that of qualified, no. The school district currently has 21,230,000 of qualified bonds outstanding and $0 of qualified loans outstanding under the state school bond qualification and loan program. Yeah, it's in, it's, yes.
Sorry, so what is your question again? I'm sorry. Is it two?
You're
two
almost,
bonds, you said?
you're almost there. Well, I was asking you if it's 1 or 2.
Yeah. Our finance, I have to get with our finance. The finance questions, I'll do my best, but.
You're almost there, one more.
Yep.
Or keep going, I'm sorry. You're almost there. Stop, right there, right in the middle. So in 1999, we approved 34 million and something, and then we still have 34,165,000. We still have the 21,230,000 outstanding. So if I read the information correctly, one of my questions, are you going to repay that? When are you going to pay that bond off?
So those are the numbers I want to check. I don't know that what your subtraction is. I'm not being disrespectful. I don't know that when you say you borrowed $34 million in 1999, that 21 million is remaining because there are other bonds and other things attached to that, I believe. So I understand what you're saying. I just want to get clarification from PFM before I answer your question.
Do we know if that's the case, if we're paying off the old debt, since we're going to be going out for $153 million in new debt? Bond.
That's why some of that shoots down. That's why some of it shoots down. And shoot down here because you're still paying bonds there. So you still have, obviously, you still have bonds to pay.
So we're going to still have that outstanding bond, and we're going to incur new bond.
2.7 is what you're levying.
Okay. So with, give or take a few numbers, so with current enrollment at 2,077 students, which has been a decline, you talked about that, what is the enrollment threshold that could trigger a financial crisis? And I ask this question because things change out of our control. We know the birth rates are going down. We know homeschooling is a big option. We know the federal government's talking about changing the educational. So we could potentially be looking at $153 million on the taxpayers' backs, and we have a school where we don't have the students to be able to make that payment because we're not collecting enough. So what is that threshold? Is that something we've talked about? Because we think about, even in our city, we have things that the 34th District Court, things have changed. Nobody knew COVID was coming. Some things that were said, that's not what happened. Our Veterans Memorial, that was supposed to be up 4 years ago. Out of our control, COVID. Things change, things happen. And so we can say today, it's not going to cost the taxpayer anything, but we have no idea what the future holds with declining enrollment or low birth rate or people choosing to go to school other means. So that's a concern. So I wanted to ask you if you guys have thought about that.
Well, I appreciate that, and you always think about that. You always are worried about losing enrollment. Birth rates, I have nothing to do with, nothing at all. But when you do this, you do consider that you may lose. The beauty to me is that you have 1,900 to pull from. And if we are not a viable school district, you are absolutely right. There's an absolute opportunity to lose more students. When you bring a welding program and you start bringing some other programming, then now you are seen as a school district that has something to offer that Wayne Westland, Crestwood, or all the other places that are around, okay? I think that the district also needs some longevity. We've had some changes, okay? Whether it's superintendent, whether it's whatever it is, you've had some changes, but to me, you have to be a viable district. I can operate, always I can operate on what can happen, absolutely, you have to. When you buy a house, I can still lose my job, and I have lost my job, but you can still lose your job. You still go on, right now, we have a job, and we have students, okay? We're not looking at, even if we lose 200, what that equates to is staff. That's what that equates to, is that you're gonna have to start dropping off some staff. You can't be overstaffed. So I understand the questions. I would understand anybody's questions, okay? Whenever you go out and do any kind of bond, you always have the what ifs, what if it doesn't? We also operate on what if it does, okay? If it doesn't, then it's my responsibility in terms of, okay, once the taxpayers, once they pay, okay, once you're paying, you're on the hook. Everybody's on the hook. The whole community is on the hook once you go ahead and do that and pass. But then you could be talking, and this becomes my part of the job, is where worst case scenario is you have to start closing buildings. That's the worst case scenario. You got to start closing them. Then now you put your community in just a frenzy or a flux. But there's things that you have to do if you get to that point. But the first thing you start with is your staffing. You try to keep everything out of the classroom, but you have to start with the staffing. So you would be looking at me and say, well, what are you going to do? Then I look at my HR director and say, you got to start cutting some staff. That's the best way that I can say. But whenever you go out for a bond, I think it's always going to be a risk. It's always a risk. Okay? But the beautiful thing is that we can provide a vision and a compelling vision about what we're trying to do to mitigate any damage. Okay? I want, when we talk about it, I want, what's it? What are we doing there? I can't remember. Welding, culinary. Okay, we're starting to have programs come back. When you were talking about sports, we used to be the mecca of sports. We're not anymore. But now we have a softball team. You didn't talk about that, or a baseball team. Things that we didn't have before, because there's some energy and there's some renewal. People feel good about what's happening. I cannot tell you how to bring people back. I think it's hard when people leave. They leave. They leave and they say, we're not coming back. But at least we have some people that are considering, we are bringing some people back. The trend is looking a little bit different. But the difference to me between Romulus and maybe other communities is that we've lost 1,900. We can gain, if we get 10% of those back, if you get 5% of those back, we're not another community that hasn't lost, we've lost. So this gives us an opportunity to bring back the people here, oh, your culinary, your restaurant's coming back, oh my gosh. You didn't talk about that, and we didn't talk about that. The restaurant's coming back, okay? Music program, there's a lot of things that have gone by the wayside for whatever reason, and there's no blame. But you have to have a school district that people say, you know what, I'm gonna buy into it. I believe in the leadership, or I believe in the direction, and I certainly believe in the infrastructure that they're doing. It's the best that I can say there.
It is stated that taxes will not increase, yet the bond resolution permits unlimited tax levies for the debt payment. So taxes could increase in the future if enrollment or property values change. And so I just want to read this to the public as well, because we just want to make sure that they're aware. Unlimited tax general obligation bonds. This term is key. It means that once a bond proposal is approved by the voters, the school district has the authority and the obligation to levy the necessary property tax millage every year to cover the principal and interest payments on that debt. There is not a fixed statutory millage cap on the amount that they can levy specifically for that voter-approved bond debt. It is a responsibility, and regardless, it has to be paid, regardless of what the situation is at the school. And it's a 25-year, $153 million bond.
So what you're talking about is standard language. Every school district has the same language. Everybody has the same language. Doesn't mean that we're going to do anything, but that's standard language. No different than when you go out for a credit card bill and it says that you're on the hook for paying. You gotta pay. It's the same. It's nothing new. We're not coming here with some new information and say, oh, we're trying to trick you. Not at all. That's the language. But if you'd like us to bring in our financial manager, we can do that. I am not a financial manager. I am the superintendent of schools. So some of this stuff, when we talk about finance, it's just not my expertise. But I'll bring somebody in here if there's any kind of question like that. It's the treasurer. Since I'm at a disadvantage right now because she's the treasurer. I'm not. So, but I would be glad to bring in our PFM, they're called PFM, our financial manager, who can have, you can sit here and have that conversation with you. Okay, I don't know what schools do. I've never been in a school that went belly up. And it's interesting, and it does make sense, Ms. Page, that we've had Inkster, so we all know it's close by, so it's real. When a school district, we all know that, we all feel that. 2 districts in the entire state of Michigan, of the 650 schools, have ever closed their doors. It's very unlikely. How that happened, I don't know. I wasn't part of Inkster schools, so I don't even know how that worked. But I can tell you it's not gonna work here. That's not who I am. I'm gonna be out there, and I have the responsibility not only of the community, but the kids to move our district forward. And if we don't do a bond, then it begets another question too. In 5 years, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And then we have a real problem when people see their taxes go from here all the way up to here because we need to fix buildings, we need to fix something. I don't have a magic wand, I don't know. All I can say is this makes sense, it makes good sense at this particular time. But again, the voters have to make their decision. And I will be there in the community, and I will be out in the community, and I don't need to counter any information. There is no false narrative. We give you all the information that I can possibly give you. You need the PFM, again, I'll be glad to bring them here, or you can come to our board meeting. But I'm gonna be out in the community with the bond or ballot committee. We're gonna be out here trying to present something that's good for our community. That's all I can say.
So this is another finance question. So right now, we have, we have this outstanding debt, and we're paying 8.25%. That's what mills, right?
Mills.
Okay. Then you're saying in 2026, and it's in the language here, you're going to levy 2.70 for the 153 million, so it's like 5 times more, right? Than the 21,000 that's 21 million that's still outstanding. So what I'm saying is you have this outstanding debt, you're paying 8.25 or levying 8.25. Now you're going out for 153 million. You're only going to levy 2.70. The math does not add up whatsoever, and you got to get it paid off in 25 years. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I don't see what you're saying. I don't see what you're saying, but I know that I was very clear on, we can have our folks that do this, they can come and they can make sense of it. And if it's not making sense to me,
Okay.
I can have somebody come here and have that conversation with the full city council. I'll be glad to do that. But I'm not gonna sit here and say something and say, yeah, that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not gonna say it makes sense, and then everybody's looking at me like, well, that's what you said. I said, I'll bring somebody here and they can have that conversation. So when she asks the question, everybody is clear on it. I'm not the authority on the mills. That's not what I do as the superintendent. That is not my role. And we just brought somebody from our finance department. We just got somebody. We've had somebody there, but she's now gone, so the other person is not here to answer that. But I wouldn't even put her here to answer that. I'm going to bring an expert that does school finance when it comes to bonds to sit here and address your questions.
And that would be great, because at the end of the day, we collect school taxes, my office does. I get the phone calls. So when there's uncapping of property or any kind of a millage rate increase, I take those calls. And I just want to be fair, as you do,
Absolutely.
to state the facts and make sure that the public knows there's always a risk involved with this, because nobody knows what the future holds. And we're talking about a staggering amount of money, which in a perfect world would be great. We'd love to fix everything. But I just want to make sure that the taxpayers are aware of what they're voting on. And if they want to support it, fantastic, as long as they have the facts. And this math does not make sense to me, so I would love to talk to whomever.
We will absolutely bring them there so that the community can have that conversation, so that you can ask the questions, and we have the other person there to represent our school district to ask that, so that everybody gets the factual information. Okay? Almost everything is a risk. When I bought my house, that's a risk. I bought my car, that's a risk. I got fired. It happens. And I mean, I had to do what I have to do. I'm not making it I'm not saying that it's that easy. Like, oh, you can just fix it. I'm not saying that. But sometimes things do happen. But most of the time, the things that you expect to happen do in a positive way. So in this case, we will absolutely have that conversation. I will be able to bring the folks here, or you can come out to our board meeting and we can have that, or out in the community, so that everybody gets the factual information, because I don't want people leaving here either saying, they tried to put something. No, we didn't. Okay? We did. Give you the information, it's there, and then we can have somebody who can break it down further than I can.
I've taken a lot of time, so I'm going to go ahead and stop with the questions.
Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
I do appreciate conscientious. I appreciate that.
Thank
In
you.
your
I
role,
just
too.
want what's best.
Yeah, in your role, I appreciate
Yes.
that. You don't hear me saying
And-
that I don't.
Before we move on, just a point of clarity, PFM, is that who we use? I just want to be clear for the record, because we use them too.
Same people.
Okay,
Perfect.
I just want to be clear. Okay, thank you, Ms. Page. Ms. Abdo?
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments, specifically the sinking fund. The reason I'm saying this is because I was one that really advocated for it when it first came up. We promised that we would keep the parking lots maintained. And that high school parking lot, that north, it's horrible. So I know you've done a lot of good repairs, but I'm hoping that you elevate the. Prioritize, yes, because that's what people in the community want. That's just disgusting to drive down that, I
Middle
keep,
school is just as bad, and you're right. And the thing that I would say to the city council, listen, I can't be responsible for 2018. I wasn't here.
Okay.
But I am responsible for carrying out the wishes of the district and the community. If that was the wishes, I don't know that. But you're telling me that, but I can tell you that we're at now $11 million for parking lots. It is, and that is our priority. I said that like this.
Okay.
I drive the same parking lots you do. Terrible.
Then the other thing is, you talk about enrollment. I can tell you how you can increase your enrollment. It's got to be active recruiting. And I'll give you a name, that Nate Oates. That's what he did when he came to Romulus. He went to AAU games and recruited people all over to come to Romulus. And our sports, we have to build it up, and we have to actively recruit. And it is legal now.
Oh, you mean, oh, shit. I know what you mean, but I get it. I understand that. And sports absolutely thrives.
Well,
You
and
know,
for the
I say
welding,
so does-
bringing back
So does
the,
winning. I'll say there's winning.
yeah, that
You
does.
start changing things when you win.
And bringing
Thank you so
back the
much.
welding is a great idea.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You all set?
I'm done.
Okay, any other, Ms. Roscoe?
Well, my first concern is that you came to give us information on a $153 million bond, and you didn't bring your financial advisor. That's my first main consideration, is you should have known that we would have questions as far as the finances, not just what you're going to do with it, but how we're going to get to that number of getting that paid off in 25 years. My second concern, and I agree totally with Stacy, we need good schools, we need things fixed, we need all those things. But on the other hand, we all need to be able to survive too. We live here and we pay taxes here, and we need to be able to survive here too. And the thing of it is what was very disheartening is when I see the numbers that you presented at the State of the City as far as our student, where they fall in the numbers as far as academically. You're talking about giving them all these visual things, all these physical things, weight rooms and gaming sports and things like that, but our educational numbers are down severely, further than I've ever seen them down. And that concerns me, because when people do look to come in to move into the city of Romulus, one thing they look at is student performance, if they're going to send their kids here, if they're going to send their children here. And I don't think it is like it was back in the day, sort of say, where people looked at where they buy their homes as to where they're going to send their students, their children to school. That isn't as important to them any longer as it used to be. Because it used to be everyone sent their school to public schools where they lived. Now everybody is school of choice, and now it's a convenience. You have both parents working in the house. Where can it be more convenient for me to take my children so I can pick them up after I'm done working? You know, who has latchkeys, so on and so forth. Those things seem to be more important as I talk to people in my workplace. It's not about what's convenient, it's not about where they live as their students are going to school there. It's what's convenient for them to be able to get their kids to school, to be able to be involved with their children in their schools, and so on and so forth. Especially now that school of choice is basically, it's not like going to private school. I'm not paying over here at this other school district for my child to go there. Now I have school of choice, even though I'm still paying for my school taxes here. And I think that's a big concern. As you say, they'll come back. I don't think 2 programs is going to bring back the numbers we need. Now let me finish. So that's a concern to me. The next concern I have here too, that I think people need to be aware of, is that you say we're going to have the 2.7 mills and it's going to even out and we're going to be fine and we're going to pay less mills. In a perfect world, that looks great. I would love to see that. But it also says here, and some information I have is the estimated simple average is we're going to need 5.13 mills just to pay that off in 25 years. So at some point, you're going to have to levy more mills. And as I know, as being a former school board member way back in the day, and this has been a long time ago, more than 16 years ago that I sat there, but we had the choice every single year after that bond was voted in by the people to raise that levy, in which we never maxed that out back then. And a lot of times it went down, a lot of times it went up, but I don't know, it seems like it's unlimited now as to what you can levy. Back then, we could only levy a certain amount no matter how much money we needed. And now it seems like you have an unlimited amount. So if our student enrollment keeps declining, if something happens again like COVID when property values dropped and our taxes dropped, and now you have to come back and say, instead of levying 2.7 or this 5.13 that says it's going to take to pay that 25-year debt off, now we're looking at paying 10, 15 mills a year on top, more than the 2.7%. I mean, just like Stacy said, you don't know what's going to happen next. We have had a very roller coaster ride, actually since about 2009. I mean, it's been a long ride. I mean, things have been like this for quite a while. And some things just came out of the blue. You know, nobody expected these things. And it is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but I think it's up to the vote of the people. You're here presenting all this information, but again, I think you need to have a financial advisor here to answer these questions, because bottom line is, it's not so much that everyone's going to want to know exactly, you know, which parking lot's going to get paved first. They're going to want to know, how are you going to pay for this, and when are my taxes going to go up next? That's what the residents' main concern is going to be. You know, what is this going to cost me? And it's a very viable question, because, I mean, we all are asking that. Anybody sitting up here, we're all asking that too. And are we going to be able to afford it, or are we going to need to put our houses up for sale and hope we can sell so we can move somewhere that we can afford to live? But, great presentation. Only downfall I see in the presentation altogether is that you did not have your financial advisor here to answer some very, very important questions. But I appreciate you coming and informing the everyone in Romulus that this is what the schools is planning on doing, that they're planning on putting a special millage out in August for them to vote on, and it's very important for them not to overlook that, and for them to get their information, do more homework, come to the school board meetings, ask questions there continually till they get their answers, so they know when they go in to vote in August if it's what they truly feel in their heart that they can manage and do. But again, thank you for coming and presenting all this, not just to us as a council and the mayor and treasurer and clerk, but to the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And as I said with finances, we can have our expert that comes here. I'm going to lead with a positive as well. And I will say, I know there's a concern about declining enrollment, but we should also talk about the trend in the last 10 years, that some of that has been mitigated. Okay, a lot of it. The concern, you should have a concern with declining enrollment, as have I. Okay, as have I. When I look back at the last 10 years, it's been 20 years. It's been a precipitous drop. Precipitous drop. And now we're seeing some trends where we're trying to level off, which is a good thing, that we are leveling off. Because as we said, the birth rates and a whole bunch of things, there's a lot of reasons. So I feel really good in the direction that we're headed. I feel really good in the direction that we're headed, and I feel really good about the things that we've been able to do with our resources, the resources we have, to remain viable, to remain that people still want to come to Romulus. There's still some work, absolutely, achievement-wise. When we put up the demographic, you can see that it's a pretty clear trend. Okay, I know everybody's not going to talk about it, but it's a pretty clear trend that something is imbalanced in the school district. It's my job to try to address the imbalance, because there is absolutely an imbalance. We should be concerned about that imbalance as well. Okay? If we want to talk about a lot of it, there's a lot of things that we need to address and that we're trying to address on our end. And we need the community's support to get to those things and to have honest dialogue and conversation about where we want our school district to be. I'm here to support. I'm here to give factual information. If the community supports us, wonderful. If they don't, I promise everyone that we will utilize the resources that we have to continue the positive trends that we have. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you.
Well, we do have another question. Mr. Wadsworth.
I just have a quick comment to make, and I want to thank you for coming here today. And there's no doubt in my mind that I want the Romulus school system to go, thrive, get bigger. Personally, I put 3 sons, or my wife and I put 3 sons through Merriman Bark, the junior high, and the high school. And they went on to all get college degrees, and they're all functioning as adults. But in your presentation, I heard too much about pickleball and the press box and a football field, and I didn't hear enough about the performance of the students. Now, maybe I missed something here, but that bothers me to a certain point, and that's all I got to say.
Okay. And just a few, I just want to make my comment too. Thank you again for the presentation. And I hear the concerns of the people on the dais. But I feel like we have to do something as well. I mean, if we sit here, the things you have done in the school so far, how are we going to increase enrollment as we make it attractive to people that want to come, first of all? The improvements that's been done thus far makes it attractive. And to continue those improvements, because if we just sit here and don't do anything, and we want to bring people into the district, I guess there's a fine balance in that, because, you know, you want people to come to the district, but then we got to do something, we got to put it in there so that people make it attractive for people to want to come to our district. And I hear all the concerns, I hear what everybody's saying, and yeah, we get PFM here or whoever to address these financial concerns, but the bottom line is the city and the school district has to work together. He said it over and over that the mayor and him talk constantly about the viability of the school district, because we need a viable school district to have a viable city. So we have to figure, I mean, we don't, this is not our jurisdiction. Again, this is information. They came to present to us to give us the information about what's going down in the school district. So this is not our jurisdiction. And again, these are the comments from it. But there's work to be done, you know, and to sit and not do anything because we don't know. I don't know how you operate like that. I just don't. And that's just my opinions. We got a school district that needs some support, and how we work it out and figure it out and try to help solutions, because we all live here. So how do we work out solutions to help them in their endeavor? I don't know what that all is, but again, that's just my opinion. I just feel like they are trying to make they're working to make our school district viable. We have to do something to make it attractive to increase enrollment. They didn't bring the 300-page document here, and I'm glad they didn't. They gave us the bullet points and the high points of what we're trying to do in the school district to move it forward. And I liked what he kept saying about leveling. We didn't get here overnight. It's going to take some time to get out of this. But he said leveling. We're trying to, he stopped the bleeding, the dropping, so it's going to take time. So that's just my opinion. Thank you for coming, Superintendent, and, oh, I'm sorry, Mayor?
That's okay, through the chair. I just want to thank you for the presentation. And we talked about this candidly, about this process. We know that our schools need support, but there's going to be some honest questions that come out and a lot of concerns. And the more people have the chance to digest this information, there'll be more questions. And this is how you lend yourself to transparency. You're out here 5 months before the election, sharing data, sharing information, trying to get the information to people. Ms. Page had several great questions, and I share those questions. You know, we all want to know what it means and what are our guarantees. We want to mitigate as much risk as we can. And those are all great questions, but this lends itself to transparency. Like you said, this is a transparent campaign. And too many times I've seen in the past, especially the more I work with Lansing now, is they put something in on the coattails of a bill, or they sneak something in and nobody talks about it. This is not that type of campaign. You're out here right now putting the facts, putting the data. There's already questions arising that are valid questions. I think we need a follow-up meeting with the financial team. I think it's a great idea. But to continue having that conversation, let the residents know this is your service model with, service model without, and then they can make a decision. It's just about getting the facts together. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I would also say, in terms of achievement, you're all more than welcome to visit the schools. Visit the schools, you'll understand some of the things. When you come by and you see, just come by and see. And I also spoke at the state of the city, and I gave a synopsis. I didn't hide anything. I put it out there. It is what it is. You can try as much as you want to try to address achievement. It's not one person's job. It's all of our jobs. So I encourage you to come out, tutor if you want. Come out and tutor. It's a lot of things that you can do to get involved to change the status quo. We're trying on our end. We want the city's help. We want the city's support. Please feel free to come on out. That's not tongue-in-cheek. It's serious. If you'd like to come out, please, we'd love to have you. And the kids would love to see you. So thank you for your time, everyone, and thank you here. Sorry for the length. I apologize for the length.
I'm sorry.
If there's any information you need, let me know.
Well, Ms. Ellen.
Through the chair, thank you. And again, thank you, Dr. Edmondson, and to your team for coming with your presentation. Just two things. One, the 21 mil of the outstanding bond debt that's still outstanding. And you know, I'm not the city treasurer, but I think it's been addressed, and it's not really clear what happens to that debt. And I'm kind of like, when I'm looking at your chart and the projections, and, you know, I understand your chart.
Right there.
I'm looking at that chart, but if we're going to acquire more debt, 153 million, and we're still in debt with 21 million, it hasn't been made clear as to what happens to that outstanding debt. And maybe I just don't get it, but I'm still trying to figure out how does that, you know, with our taxes and what's being levied. And so I don't think that it's quite clear. And I'm not trying to insult, I'm just saying, maybe it's just me. But, and so with that leads me to my next question, is that will there be another forum for taxpayers and for parents? And like I said, I appreciate the fact that you have come here to the elected officials to explain that it's being televised. But, and then I know you've invited everyone to come to a school board meeting, but not everybody always, you know, there's.
School board meetings like that.
Well, I'm
They
just
really
saying,
don't.
but I'm just
They
saying,
really don't.
will there be a forum
Absolutely.
for the public, so that, and that this is really broken down in the simplest form, so that we can understand exactly, because it's still a little about how our taxes are going to go down. I understand the chart, but again, not to be redundant here, we're going to acquire more debt if the bond passes, and we already have an outstanding, you know, debt there, and it's not clear as to how that is, the existing outstanding debt's going to be resolved. And the reason I bring that up, because in your bond proposal, the proposal that went to the county, that information is listed here, and that's what the public is going to see. On the ballot, yes, it's going to have that ballot language, but this extra information is going to be there to the public. And so if I'm a voter and I'm trying to read all the information, and I'm like, well, darn it, we still have outstanding debt. I don't want to do that. So all I'm just saying is that it has to be broken down to a simplest form. Someone came up with these figures. And so I'm kind of like Councilwoman Roscoe is like, we need those numbers, it needs to be broken down,
So let me-
for that.
You asked a poignant question.
Yeah.
It's May, that's in August. We came here first. We presented to our school board, we presented to our staff, we still have other staffs, we have a bond committee, we have people that are on a bond committee to have these conversations. I am the face of this, so I have to go out in the community. I have to meet with the ballot committee or the bond committee first to determine what is our course of action. You can't just sit there, it'll fail. It will fail if you just sit there. That's not what I'm gonna do. When you get out there, and I heard some of the questions that you have, wonderful, wonderful. Even the bond language itself, it's hard. It doesn't matter who you are to read that. It's like, well, what are they saying? That's just how bond language is. So you wanna make the community understand what that says, what that really says, because the jargon is like, what? Okay, so there are going to be, I'm glad that this is May, this is done in August. So boots on the ground after this, I'm like, great, we got that done. Now we have to get PFM, we'll have a conversation, and we're gonna be in different communities. As I said to anyone, if you know somebody and you want me to come to the house, I'll bring PFM, I'll be glad to, that's what you do. Boots on the ground, you just don't say, you gotta come to the board office. That's not gonna work. When I did the operating village, I went out to homes in Inkster. I will continue to do that. That's my job to do that. And to anybody that wants to make sense of it or says, hey, listen, could you explain it? That is my job. Okay, this is what I have to do. We have a committee, but I'm going to be out there as they are. And there will be, so there's things that I can put out. As I said, there are things that I can say. I can say, we'll be here, we'll be here, we'll be here. And also, with the QR code, if somebody says, hey, can you come to my house? Can you come to my church? I can do that. I can do that during work time. That's part of my job. So this is boots on the ground. In terms of staff, I already said they can only say certain things in terms of yes or no that they can give you information. You're going to get information. This is May. We have until August. So there will be some clarity, and I thank all of you for that. give me the clarity. That's why we do this. That's why you go out here and say, okay, makes sense, thank you for that. We go out next, we take what you suggested, and then we go out and we do those things. So again, I think this was very informational for me, very informational. I'm like, okay, thank you. So now we'll be out and do it again, and if need be, we can have the clarification here too, because you have more viewers than we do. So we'd be glad to do that.
And one last question. What is our the bond rating for Romulus Community Schools? Do you know that?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that. I wouldn't know that either. But when we have our people that meet with me, yes, we have those conversations. And that's clear.
Okay.
I made it clear, I'm not an expert on that. I can talk about school finance, but I can't talk about bond ratings and things like, I don't know that.
Thank you.
I can get that information.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, are we done with the dais? So since I said we were going to allow some questions from the audience, we have to take a couple, just a couple. So do we have a few, Mr. Heinberger?
I apologize for not filling out a slip. Of course, I didn't know I was gonna walk into this tonight.
Oh, wait a minute, you got to hold tight because we got to have you at the mic so you can be recorded. But we're going to start with Mr. Heinberger first, and then I have a written request by, from the Madam Clerk, but Tony Heinberger.
Good evening, Tony Heimer here on River Drive. There's so many questions. I mean, I'm confused and really concerned about 153 million plus 21 million. Now we're up to 174 million in bonds. And the world is changing. The parents don't want their kids to go to a school. They want them to stay right there so where they can watch them constantly. That's the sad part. And I'm afraid we're going to get stuck with this debt the taxpayers are. And for years, the taxpayers of Romulus have paid big money in taxes, in property taxes, which needs to change. Right now, we are taxing our seniors out of their homes. It's happening all the time because the seniors can't afford it anymore. I mean, there's a little bit of Social Security that goes up, but if you look at how much the tax bill goes up, it's more. It doesn't work that way. But a couple items in this assessment that I was really concerned about. The board office for a new AC and furnace, $990,000. Almost $1 million for just a furnace, an AC, boiler. That seems like really overpriced to me, really overpriced. Everybody should actually get a copy of this and really read it because it gives a breakdown of every last thing that they plan on doing and how much they are charging for that item. It's really interesting. I mean, if you need copies, let me know. I would be more than happy to give you copies so you can read it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Heinberger. I do have a written request I would like to read into the record. This is from Dawn. If we have 2,100 kids divided by 6 schools equals 350 kids, or divided by 7 schools, 300 kids, why would you not close school and not make changes to that school, save the money? That's from Dawn. Yeah, huh?
We did it in our day.
He just said parents would get fired up. Okay, I know I started, I said, when you close a building and you don't know what you're gonna do with it, that's dangerous. It is dangerous. And you could, that's a real tough conversation to have when you start. I can tell you about Romulus, people love their schools, so which building is it first? That's what I would start with, which building is it gonna be then? That's what you wanna do, and that's the danger of that. It's really dangerous because then you have a whole bunch of the community coming after you for a decision that you think is best. But which school? These schools are beloved here. I can tell you that, and I know you know. The schools are beloved. The minute you start closing, it's the minute that you have a Mount Pleasant on your side. Another, or that we have a Mount Pleasant where if you haven't decided what you're gonna do with it, then all the people that went to that school are gonna get there. I've seen it happen. And it's just, it's a terrible process for our community, and it pits the community against the community based on their love for a particular school. So I answered that question.
Thank you, Dr. Edmondson.
But we're not in any deficit. We're not in deficit with nothing, so I don't even want people to think that we're not in any deficit. Okay. We remain steady. I guess at some point you did have more schools. 2 were gone. 2 were already gone. What else can I do? And I sold Meriden because it's been sitting there for so long. I came into that. Thought that would be a good thing, that hey, at least we got rid of one, and now in Pleasant, I saw that, I'm like, you don't close a building if you don't know what you're gonna do with it. And then this is what happens, it sits for 10 years or so, and then the community is irate, particularly those that live around it.
I live around it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, and I can also say if you can't afford the school, you don't have a school.
Yeah, if you don't, but that's not where we're at, but we're getting rid of that school, that makes sense.
Okay, I'm sorry, we gotta keep a little order here. Did you want to come up and address to the podium?
That
Huh?
was my question.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
My day, me and my husband went there, put my kids through here. We all made sacrifices. If you can't afford the improvements to the schools, then maybe you move once. I mean, it happened all the time when we were younger.
okay. No, thank you for the comment. I'm sorry,
Just let
we're
the
going,
record say we're not closing buildings.
okay.
We're not at that point.
We're gonna take one more question, and then we got the QR code in the back. You gotta just scan it, and your questions, we will answer them directly. Mark Wilhite?
This has been a very informative, very good presentation. I have some questions, though. That's a large amount of money to be responsible for. And I've been here my whole life. The place where it was the junior high school, then it was the South Junior High School, then they built the new one. Now it's a field. It's been a field for 40 years, non-taxable because the school still own it. But I have to agree with Councilman Wadsworth. Nothing that I saw in this presentation says that they're gonna try to increase, get the kids to where they can read at 50% of what they're supposed to. None of it. You know, yeah, I'd like to have a brand new car too, but I don't. And I sit there and I listen to it, and I've been here my whole life. I was new, and I like the idea of the welding and the home ec coming back. What about wood shop, metal shop? Teach these kids. I saw your esports. I don't understand it. To me, I look at that and I think, well, we're going to bring a whole generation of kids that are going to live in the basement of their mom and dad's house until they're 35. But my biggest problem with it is it's a lot of money, and just like it was brought up, we're responsible for it, and if something happens and you guys go and do next meeting, we're stuck here. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Mr. Wilhite. So I'm sorry, I don't want to belabor the time any longer. Again, there's a QR code here in the back. You can scan your questions. They will get back with you directly. But again, thank you, Dr. Edmondson, for your time, and your staff and the board members and everybody that's coming out in support, and everybody for your time and patience. I know it's been a kind of long night, but I think this information need to be had, need to be said, questions had to be addressed. I think it was needed, so thank you, and we're going to close that piece out. That's under the report. No, I'm still under the chairperson, but I got a couple of announcements real quick. I know it's long, but I got to do my announcements. I just want to give a quick shout out, Mr. Barton, he's going to be indisposed for a few meetings, so just continue to keep him in prayer. He won't be with us for a couple of meetings, but just keep him in prayer right now. He's convalescing right now, so keep Mr. Barton in your prayers. I just want to do a shout out to the 34th District Court. They had their court day last week. It was very successful, and it was covered by Channel 4 News, so that was very encouraging for the school, for the court. So just want to shout out to Avery Taylor and all the judges, Judge Oakley, Judge Teresa Patton and Judge Martin and the magistrates over there for all their efforts on the court day. It went very, very well. And again, it was covered by our Channel 4 News. And also on that same day, we had National Day of Prayer, talking about the schools. We go out to the schools and pray at all the schools, all the elementary, the middle school, the high school, and the learning centers. So it was a great day of National Day of Prayer. A lot of students came out to participate, and consequently, that's what we need to do, pray around here. But anyway, that's just my personal opinion. But just want to get these few comments in. Hope everybody, women, had a good Mother's Day yesterday. I had a great Mother's Day, and that'll be it for my report.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept your report.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Abdo, to accept the chairperson's report. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Takes us to number 5, the mayor's report.
Good evening, thank you. Good evening, council, Madam Treasurer, Madam Clerk, Deputy Clerk, those here in the audience today, and also those at home. I have a quick video message from Vanessa in the mayor's office for current events. That's not ready yet, so we're gonna come back to that. I also want to thank Colleen McKay Dumas for her efforts and the Recreation Commission for another great event on Mother's Day. The party was another huge event. Well done. A lot of the women dressed up with their girls. It was a mother-daughter event, and it was good to see all the hats out and all the excitement around that event. It's a great job. Another good event in the city of Romulus. I also want to give a quick update on the lawsuit for hazardous materials, and I told council I'd keep you updated on that. So we have the injunction that's held up so far. We have our next hearing date on the 19th and the 20th of next week, so I will continue to give you an update, but right now we've been successful at each level. So we're hanging in there. We had another meeting today with Canton Township, Belleville, Van Buren. We've been successful to keep the radioactive waste coming out of New York into the city of Van Buren. So we're continuing to fight that, and I'll continue to update. It's a quick lawsuit, and also I believe Chief of Staff passed out the issue on the new policy, or the policy update on the water turnoffs. Just wanted to follow up with that one. We had that action on them a few months ago, but we got that drafted from our department. I want to make sure council got a copy of that. Okay, so we still don't have the video ready yet. I will, my first action item tonight is a First Amendment lease with the Romulus Municipal Library. And I respectfully request council to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached First Amendment to the lease agreement with the City of Romulus Municipal Library located at 11121 Wayne Road, Romulus, Michigan.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion to concur with administration and grant authorization for the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached First Amendment to the lease agreement for the City of Romulus Municipal Library located at 11121 Wayne Road, Romulus, Michigan 48117.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, to concur with the administration and grant authorization for the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached First Amendment to the lease agreement with the City of Romulus Municipal Library located at 11121 Wayne Road, Romulus, Michigan 48174. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. The next item I have is for more activities in our district. I respectfully request council authorize a no-fee permit for the ribbon cutting of Eagle Alley in our district and activities in our district along the closure of Goddard Road from Sterling to Shook on June 21st, 2025.
Through the chair, I'll make that motion to concur with the administration and authorize a no-fee permit for the ribbon cutting of Eagle Alley in the R District and activities in our district, along with the closure of Goddard Road from Sterling Street to Shook Road beginning at 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday, June 21st.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Mr. Kraut, to concur with administration and authorize a no-fee permit for the ribbon cutting of Eagle Alley in our district and activities in our district, along with the closure of Goddard Road from Sterling Street to Shook Road, beginning at 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday, June 21st, 2025. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. I apologize, but there's having technical difficulties right now, so there'll be no update from Ms. Vanessa Tolliver in the mayor's office. I would like to, if you haven't noticed downtown, you see the mural has begun down there, so I'm pretty excited about that. So we're bringing art in our district. And Jerry Frey and the team did a great job down there, so if you're out and about and you see the paintings on the wall of polka dots, they started the process of painting our mural down there, so I'm excited about that. And that will conclude my report for this evening.
Thank you. Number 6 is the clerk's report. I have 4 action items. 6A, I request approval for the second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 2425-17 to recognize $1 million in GL account 203-000-569.000 of the state grant revenue and $1 million in GL account 203-463-980.000 of expenditures associated with the Swan Lake project in the Local Roads Fund. This amendment was introduced at the April 28, 2025 council meeting.
Madam Chairman, I'm going to move for the second reading and final adoption of the Budget Amendment 24/25-17, and it's for the Swan Lake Local Road Project.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo for the approval of the second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 24/25-17 to recognize $1 million in GL number 203-000-569.000 of state grant revenue and $1 million in GL number 203-463-980.000 of expenditures associated with the Swan Lake project in the Local Roads Fund. This amendment was introduced at the 4/28/25 council meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. 6B, requesting approval for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 2425-18 in the amount of $50,000, and this is to recognize grant revenue and corresponding expenditures for a MSHDA grant. This amendment was introduced at the April 28, 2025 council meeting.
Madam Chair,
Thank you, Ms. Roscoe.
I'll make that motion to approve the second reading and final adoption of the request for RZ-2025-002 Gym Seal PMG Seal Master to rezone 0.94 acres of property located at 28055.
Hold on, I think we got the wrong one.
Yeah, that's
We're on B.
6C. We're on
Oh.
6B.
Yeah.
So sorry.
No
That's
worries.
okay. Second reading, final adoption of Budget Amendment 24-25-18 in the amount of $50,000 to recognize grant revenue and corresponding expenditures for a MHSDA grant.
Support.
I apologize for
Oh, no
that.
worries.
Third
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Jones for this second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 24/25-18 in the amount of $50,000 to recognize grant revenue and the corresponding expenditures for an MHSDA grant. This amendment was introduced at the 4/28/25 council meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. Agenda item 6C. Request approval for the second reading and final adoption of the request for RZ-2025-002 Gym Seal PMG Seal Master to rezone .94 acres of property located at 28055 Van Born Road from M1 Light Industrial to MT Industrial Transportation. This amendment was introduced at the April 28, 2025 council meeting.
Madam Chair,
Make that
Yes.
motion
Yes, Mr. Jones.
to approve the second reading of the final adoption of the request for RZ-2025-002 Jim Seal, PMG Seal Maker to rezone 0.94 acres of property located at 28055 Van Born Road from M-1 Light Industrial to M-T Industrial Transportation.
Support.
Been motion by Mr. Jones, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for the approval of the second reading and final adoption of the request for RZ-2025-002 Jim Seal, PMG Seal Master, to rezone .94 acres of property located at 28055 Van Born Road from M1 Light Industrial to MT Industrial Transportation. This amendment was introduced at the 4/28/25 council meeting. Any discussion?
One comment.
Yes, Ms. Roscoe?
Van Born, we need to clarify the spelling of Van.
Oh,
Born.
yeah, okay. Van Board.
Van Born.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The last action item, which is 6D, this is an application for commercial facilities exemption certificate. On February 10th, 2025, the council adopted a resolution establishing a commercial redevelopment district for parcel 80,040,99,0003,008 located at 8500 Wickham Road. As a result, an application for commercial facilities exemption certificate was filed by the Detroit Airport Hotel Limited Partnership seeking a 12-year tax abatement as permitted under Public Act 255 of 1978. Kevin Kraus, Director of Community Safety and Development, and Julie Albert, Director of Assessing and Financial Services, have reviewed the application and provided a detailed breakdown of taxes captured. It is the prerogative of the council to either approve or deny the application. If the council should approve the application, it must also be determined the length of the exemption period, which would be 1 to 12 years. So for the example, the motion would be to approve the application for commercial facilities exemption certificate for Detroit Airport Hotel Limited Partnership 3, located at 8500 Wickham Road, with an exemption approved for the number of years. That's the example.
Tim's at the podium.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Keys?
Quite all right. Good evening, council, Madam Clerk, and Mr. Mayor. Mr. Craig. I promise, we will not be as long as the schools. We'll keep this relatively short. With me today is Paige Cooper, the President and CEO of Cooper Hotels, and Jeff Thompson, who works down at corporate office, and Joe, who is the GM of the existing Embassy Suites Hotel. We'll let Mr. Cooper, no, Mr. Thompson is good.
So I'm Jeff Thompson. I'm Vice President of Operations for Cooper Hotels. I've been in Romulus working in this community and a part of the community since 2002. We are proud partners with the city. I was impressed to see that the school board or the superintendent listed the Forgotten Harvest that they're participating in. We participate in that every Tuesday as well. Glad to get back to the community. Before I took this position, I was the general manager of the Embassy Suites. Well, right next to it is 8500 Wickham, which is the old roadway. Boy, that was a lot of fun to watch what went on over there. You had more calls for public service, fire, ambulance, police at that one location than you did at any location combined of all the hotels. Went to mayor one day and said, something's got to happen. This is crazy. Our guests see this.
this is not what we want people coming to Romulus to see. We don't want this activity. He said, well, buy it. I said, well, we need some help, you know. So that's why we're here today. We are asking for a tax abatement, which, when you do the math, I think my chart would look a lot better, because we're asking for an abatement. The tax on that roadway, you were collecting about $50,000 a year. With the new development that Mr. Cooper will tell you about, you're going to be collecting, after a 50% abatement, we're not asking for all the tax to go away, just 50% of it, you're going to be collecting 5 times that. You're going to be collecting $250,000 a year in tax, if we do that. If we don't do it, you're not getting, the tax is actually going to go down. We're not an operating business anymore. We shut it down the day we bought it. We're not interested in that business. We're interested in high-class, nice facilities. So by doing this, tonight you heard from the school that they need more money. I can put $250,000 a year towards your schools by doing this plan. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Cooper to tell you what we're planning.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Tim. It's been a pleasure to work with you for so many years. And I came to this community over 27 years ago when we developed our first hotel here, the Hilton Garden Inn on Smith Road. And subsequent to that, we developed by acquiring the then Hilton Suites and turning it into an Embassy Suites. Really, really wonderful project where Joe is manager today after a great tenure that Jeff served there. And finally, we built the Hampton Inn and Suites next door to that Hilton Garden Inn on Smith Road as well, which we built about 14, 15 years ago. And it's been over 10 years since any new hotel has been developed in town here. And really the inspiration for doing more activity here was the desire to remove blight next door to our Embassy Suites, one of the most successful hotels, the Embassy Suite. But we were actually hampered by the roadway inn and its image and what it did to bring down this community. So we wanted it removed. We may have overpaid a little bit to acquire it, but we really think it's the appropriate thing to do to remove that and make that the site of what will be a new 210-room dual-brand hotel with 2 Hilton brands, the Home 2 Suites brand and the True by Hilton brand. 2 really wonderful brands, one extended stay in its style, the other really value-driven hotel that is, these 2 hotels together, the whole total project cost, we expect to be over $60 million. This is the largest development my company's ever made, anywhere. And we're doing it here in Romulus. It's complicated to finance that kind of thing today. We try to plow everything we make in the hotel business back into investing and building new properties if we can, and yet it's still very difficult to do it, and I don't develop every year, can't. But we've decided to make this big bet on your town, and part of how the capital stack works in making this happen is the value that comes from a tax abatement. As Jeff mentioned, we're going to be creating a new tax base, a new tax contribution from this hotel that will be substantial. After the 12-year proposed abatement, there will be another dozens and dozens of years of full tax payment, which we expect to pay and understand that's part of the metrics of what it takes to operate a hotel. We're very excited about this development. We were approved already for our franchise. We've worked with a contractor. First step will be removal of that blight and leveling the land in preparation for the new construction of a mid-rise hotel. Again, we'll have 210 units and be the brand new and the nicest and most expensive ever facility built in this town since the Westin was built in conjunction with the airport. So it's going to be a really fine, wonderful hotel. We're excited about it, but we need this to go forward as part of what it takes to get the financing accomplished. And that's where we stand today. And I respectfully come before you requesting your consideration for the abatement.
Thank you.
Just want to say, we looked at different parcels of land that were not developed, but we chose this one because it was our neighbor and because it's something the city wanted. It's something the mayor asked for. And we could have saved the money of demolishing the facility. That is an extra cost that we are incurring, that we're asking you by this abatement to help us out with.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. I just made one quick comment. I know it's been a long meeting, but I want to thank you for sharing the vision we have for raising that level of what's acceptable in this community. We can hammer with PD and fire and ordinance on these jobs, on these sites all the time. We can remove blight and we can close them down, but if we don't have public or private dollars who want to share in our vision and invest in our community, we're not going to move forward. We can close them down all day long. We can board them up all day long, but we're not going to get new investment. So thank you for seeing the opportunity here. I've always said what a great site that was. It was a shame to have that hotel there. I'm proud that we closed it down, and I'm proud that we have new owners here. And I hope we achieve this dream together. But thank you for sharing that vision that we have for raising that level of what's acceptable in our community.
Well, you and your team have been wonderful to work with. We're excited about doing it, but we do need this help to accomplish it, and to the fullest degree that you can reward that help, because that is how we've helped underwrite developing this large project.
Thank you.
And I'm available for any questions.
Okay, yeah, because we don't have some. And before we get into discuss, we need to get a motion going and get some support and all that good stuff.
I'll make a motion, and
Okay.
then you can ask questions.
Yeah.
With an explanation to my motion. I'm going to ask to approve the application for commercial facilities exemption certificate for the Detroit Airport Hotel Limited Partnership 3, 8500 Wickham Road, with an exemption approval for 7 years. Where I come up with the 7-year mark is it's going to cost a little over $700,000 for you to tear that building down and remove all that. It's going to cost you another $1.5 million somewhat for your site plans and whatever. That takes you out to about a 7-year abatement. And so if we help you with all of that, then all you have left to do is build your buildings and get it up and running. And again, I'd like to bring to everyone's attention that we still get 50% of the real property taxes, which is important to know that you still would be liable for all the personal property taxes, which is totally separate from each other. And so in the long run, I think here tonight, we hopefully should be able to get you 7 years approved.
With all due respect, one of the numbers you haven't included in there was the acquisition of the hotel to be raised. So there's roughly $2.5 million to buy the roadway as well. So there's purchase of the roadway, the demolition of the roadway, and then the site prep.
Stanley.
Bill's got a question.
Okay, so I'm kind of at a loss. I think we need to get a
Support.
second. Okay, thank you. It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Jones, to approve the application for commercial facilities exemption certificate for Detroit Airport Hotel Limited Partnership, 8500 Wickham Road, with an exemption approved for 7 years. We have discussion. Your thought is not lost on me. Mr. Wadsworth.
If I could, I don't know if I should go to the mayor or go to Kevin. We used to get a sheet with the scores, and I don't see that in here. I know we talked on the phone today about 4 to 6, but I don't see the sheet with the points on it.
Yeah, so as it pertains to this, I provided all of the tax information and data that was in here. So I think what you are referring to, Councilman, is the industrial redevelopment districts. This is a commercial, it's a little bit different.
Different.
Yeah, a
Okay,
little
that's
bit
what I
different.
thought.
Similar
That's why I
process, but a
didn't
little
see
bit
it.
different, yep, as far as that goes. So we provided this information based on here. The information that I provided to you was from our assessor, Julie Albert. And let me make it clear, like, I enjoy when we have these opportunities to be able to utilize tools that are like this that are put in place. Because it really is a tool to continue to develop our communities, to bring investors in that want to invest money into our community. And it also gives me the opportunity to work one-on-one with a lot of the council people who may not understand how these processes work and why there's value to this. Anything that gets approved here is going to be better than what we have, from 1 to 12 years, 100%. And everything from 1 to 12 years will bring back fivefold what we're currently collecting now on the site.
Okay, if I may, if this would have been a new project on a brand-new field, I wouldn't be in favor of a tax abatement at all, but this is a different situation.
Correct.
You're taking out something that is, it's a sore on the
Correct.
city. All right, thank you.
We're addressing a significant strain on our public safety. We're addressing a significantly blighted building that also is a strain to our building and code enforcement as well. And doing so, you know, with the assistance of this tax abatement. Again, it's a 50% ask per year, right? So there's a tax capture for the city that we'll continue to get, and there's an abatement portion that is credited to the developer for each year. Where we're at now compared to where we would be at with this investment in place is fivefold more, right? For every year that we do it, it's a significant benefit as well.
All right, fine, thank you.
Ms. Abdo?
If you were to use the 198, which is the industrial tax abatement scorecard that you were talking about, this would, which by the way is for industrial development, not commercial, so it is geared for something other than a hotel. This would have 10 years score for an abatement. And quite frankly, again, we think that based on the commercial element of this, this is 10 years or more.
Okay. Ms. Abdo?
Yes, first of all, I want to thank all the residents out there who gave me a call today. I am not for this because the residents have reached out and spoken to me. Yes, I understand what you're saying are the advantages, but I had 22 phone calls today. Every single resident said, and I have to listen to the people that support me. They're tired of tax breaks for corporations, especially one like Cooper Hotels, which is a $16 billion corporation.
That is not correct.
Well, tell the internet that then.
That's Hilton. They are not Hilton. They are a small.
Everything
private-
on the internet's,
No, Cooper Hotels is something significant.
regardless, I'm not supporting this because the people aren't supporting this. They're tired of tax breaks given to corporations.
Any other discussion?
I just like to say, currently sitting there, we're not going to draw any taxes. Just like you said, if we tear it down, it's just going to be an empty big lot.
Correct.
And I know that in a perfect world, it'd be great to give you all 12 years, but I think reasonably we can hopefully get 7 years passed.
And we're just hoping to cover the cost of the demolition and the acquisition of the hotel.
I understand.
Which puts us in $3.5 million range.
Any more discussion? Because it seems like what we're hung up on is the years. I mean, well, we haven't even run the vote. I mean, I'm not sure how to do that, because if we have the vote for it and then the years, it seems like they would have to be two separate things.
They don't.
You have a
One.
motion on the floor, it's been seconded.
Right.
7 years. 7 years. Run that vote.
So once we run the vote,
If it doesn't pass, then you can consider other ones.
okay.
Or you amend it?
Could you start at the higher level? And, I mean,
No,
because
the
we're not going to
motion's
back
already
up.
on the floor.
What if one of you is wanting a 12-year? How does that voice ever get heard?
Well, the motion's already on the floor.
Right. Yeah, Steve, I'm kind of at a loss because we got the motion on the floor for 7 years.
Run the vote.
Huh?
It's been seconded, so I think you gotta take that vote.
Okay.
I'll make one more comment.
Okay.
I come up with the 7 years because I believe that's what we can get past, if that answers your question, without going into any other details. But I think hopefully we can get you 7 years past, but other than that, I don't think we can do much more than that. And that's just an honest opinion.
Well, I think the most important thing that I just want to reiterate, and I know the hour's late, so I respect all of your time, is the most important thing in accomplishing your goal of removing the blight and creating something powerful and new, as in the best hotel in the marketplace, is that we actually get it built. And we didn't just come up with this request willy-nilly.
I know.
Run the vote.
Run the our numbers. And as Tim mentioned, the acquisition cost, the demolition, the site work, all that is just to get started. And then we have a very, very large project to finance that's going to involve a great deal of equity on our company's part, which we will only deploy in a place where we can get the returns that we are hoping for. We've chosen to continue to invest in this market, but I can't do it magically. I need to do it with a capital stack that's provided by a bank. The bank that we're working with, we work with 2 banks, the 2 that are competing have both recommended that we go for the maximum abatement possible if we want to see this thing accomplished. So that's all I can tell you.
Okay, so just for the record, from what sound like I'm hearing, for the proposed 7-year abatement is a no-go.
Yeah. No, run the vote.
I'm asking the question now.
I don't know that I would characterize it as a no-go. I mean, one could scale down the project.
You have to make his own
You
decision
know,
on that.
there are other ways to react.
Okay.
We can clear it and try to resell it. You know,
Gotcha.
that would be a possibility too, but I'm here in hopes of accomplishing the maximum that we can on the abatement so that we can accomplish building this out as planned.
Okay. So we do have a motion on the table, so we are going to run this vote real quick. So it's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Jones, to approve. Did I read this already? I think I read that already.
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I thought I had read it already. Motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Jones, to approve the application for a commercial facility exemption certificate for Detroit Airport Hotel Limited Partnership, 38500 Wickham Road, with an exemption approved for 7 years. Any more discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
No.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
No.
Chair votes yes. I lost the number of votes we had. Where are we at?
That's 4 votes.
2 to 4.
4 votes. So it passed?
Passes,
Okay,
yes.
so we passed. So motion approved for 7 years.
Is there any way to get a motion for more?
We're done, we're done.
Nope, we're done.
It's over.
We need some advisement. Do we need to, the motion has passed as it is for 7 years. So if they wanted to come back, if they wanted to do more years, what would be the process?
It's over.
Yes, Steve.
Oh, Steve. I'm sorry, I keep looking at you. Steve, if there's a process, if they wanted to increase that from 7 years?
There'd have to be another motion. But at this time, it's at the same meeting, so
Yeah.
it'd have to be somebody who,
At a meeting down the line?
right.
Okay. So, yeah, so as of right now, 7 years, so if you want to bring it back, so they could bring it back at a later date, Steve, is what you're saying?
Well, we want to say thank you for
Yeah,
the 7 years.
Okay.
Don't feel like we're going away.
No, I get it. Yeah, like you said, I think it's, trying to make it mutual beneficial for everybody involved. If it's something you want to revisit, please bring it back to us down the line. And we need to discuss it as a council ourselves. I think we probably need to talk about it a little bit more, so, but yeah. No, so thank you for coming out and bringing it before us. Okay, thank you.
Number 7 would be the treasurer's report, which she did not have a report. So that takes us to public comment, and this is the portion on the agenda for those who are in the audience and who would like to address the city council regarding tonight's meeting. To do so, raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium and state your name. Please note that you will have 3 minutes to speak, and any additional time will be upon the consent of the chairperson. We have no written request.
Okay, anybody in the audience that would like to speak? No, we're going to close that portion out.
9 is unfinished business. 10 is new business. 11 for approval is warrant 25-09.
Through the chair, I'd like to make a motion, we pay warrant 25-09 in the following amounts. General fund, $154,904.52. Major street fund, $125,358.88. Local street fund, $46,885.83. Public safety fund, $25,156.05. Merriman Road Special Assessment, $66.36. Street Lighting Fund, $55,931.74. Garbage and Rubbish Collection Fund, $1,416.45. Tax Increment Finance Authority, $144,006.94. Downtown Development Authority, $2,212.45. Michigan Indigent Defense Fund, $22,270.50. 911 Service Fund, $1,625.79. Library Fund, $16,057.70. CIP Bonds Court Building, $309,250. E-Course and Vining Capital Improvement Bonds, $144,100. Water and Sewer Fund, $571,062. Motor Vehicle, $21,374.66. Technology Services, $50,171.86. Retiree Insurance Benefits, $147,843.52. Revolving Fund, $1,172.32. Impress Payroll Fund, $345,809.28. Totaling all funds, $2,186,615.47.
Need a second?
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, for the approval of warrant number 25-09 for checks presented in the amount of $2,186,615.47. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Next, we have communication.
Roll
No
on.
communication, all right, takes us to number 13, adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
And motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, for the adjournment of this meeting. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.